Got a lot of paper here. Here we go. Welcome, everyone, to the return to regular session for the school committee, Thursday, May 23rd, 2024. Just want to remind everyone that members of the public can hear and see this on their televisions, Comcast Channel 6, Verizon Channel 28, or online at northandovercam.org. We are recording this meeting, and we will be posting that on the school department website or a link to the YouTube version of it. So, we are returning to regular session. I'd like everybody to stand with me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. First up is public comment, if anyone is here for public comment. Welcome.
Stan Lippert, 43 Stonecleve Road. Wanted to come and make 3 comments tonight. First is, I'm not clear at all why there seems to be such a rush to make personnel decisions about the district. The implication in all of that is that there's either some malfeasance or illegal activity that has been going on and it needed to be stopped. If that were the case, I hope that you would let us know that fact. If there's something bad that's been happening, I hope you would let us know that. Secondly, you've had 2 recent meetings, one of which was not televised, and the second of which was at a sort of an unusual time, so most people didn't get a chance to probably see that on TV. I would hope that the minutes from that meeting would be forthcoming soon so we could all take a look and see what happened, what occurred at that meeting. And the third thing I wanted to say was in response to some comments that were made at annual town meeting about reserve funds. We've had reserve funds and we've benefited from reserve funds for the last few years, specifically for special education. That reserve fund has helped us on more than one occasion when we had unexpected expenses during the fiscal year that were not included in that budget. Without those reserve funds, some other actions would have to have taken place, such as laying off staff to compensate for the expense. I hope you all carefully consider any suggestions of eliminating those reserve funds because I think they've been extremely helpful in critical ways to the district, and you've seen that as a result in the annual town meeting where the Finance Committee Reserve Fund and the Special Education Reserve Fund helped the school department cover some expenses it couldn't otherwise cover. Thank you.
Thank you. Hi.
Hello, I'm Dr. Jennifer Price, the former superintendent here in North Andover, and I drove up here to say 2 things to all of you. First of all, as somebody who signed a very similar contract to Dr. Gilligan, I was stunned at the use of the clause that you used to put him on temporary leave. That was not the intent. My attorneys reviewed it when I signed it, and what you did was a tragedy, and I'm just devastated that you used that clause to put him out unilaterally. You set the district back about 10 years by doing it that day, and it's just devastating that you chose to do it that way. Somebody was here for 26 years. And to do it publicly in front of others, his assistant superintendents and the union, is horrendous. And I can tell you, if you'd done that to me, I never would have walked back in the door. I'm just going to tell you that. Number 2, I'm very worried. I care about this town. I know I only gave 3 years, but I gave my heart and soul for 3 years. And I'm really worried. I'm worried that Dr. Gilligan and Dr. Mealy and Marcy are not the last to leave. Many more will go as you demonstrate how you support educational leaders. And that's a travesty. And you guys own that. And what I'm also really worried about is who's going to become your superintendent. I came up here because David Teresi, Stan Limpert, Andrew McDevitt, Amy Mabley, Helen Picard taught me that they would support me even when it was hard. And you made a decision to bail on your educational leaders. And maybe that's a decision you made, But I can promise you, it's going to be really hard to find an assistant superintendent for finance, a superintendent, an assistant superintendent for special ed. Because if they know that the school committee will bail on somebody who's been here for 16 years, somebody who's been here for 15 years, and Marcy, on and off, I don't know your years, then why would they ever want to come work here? And I just ask you, I care about this town. I care about these students. You need to do better. So thank you very much.
Anybody else? Anyone else? Okay. All right. We have some recognition tonight.
Yes, I want to start by recognizing the North Andover Middle School staff. Sorry about that. Recognizing our North Andover Middle School staff who were exemplary during our evacuation. About a week ago yesterday, they really followed protocol. It goes to about the safety and security review we had, and what went well is we do have a reminder, we do have processes in place that work with us, and this team put them right into the process, and it was a very smooth evacuation. The students at North Andover Middle School are to be commended for the way they handle themselves, they calm, they control, they listen to the teachers, and couldn't have asked for better students. They were so proud. I had an opportunity to go around them and validate afterwards. And they're seeing right? Things like that happening. They were just amazing students. The district, the education, obviously,
I think there's a problem. He's broadcasting into this room. So, okay, oh, he does now. Okay. Something's going on.
Right now, I'm getting the feedback from system. I don't know from where it was from the last time this was here, but pretty much I'm just going to wait until I get everybody because the game keeps coming back. I think that really won't bother me. So at the moment, you guys are going to recess at the moment?
Is the session being broadcast like it's supposed to be?
Yes, and we'll put it on blog. Sorry.
People can't hear online.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So I'd rather what you're saying actually.
Should we pause and go to executive session while we're doing this and finish executive
I
session?
believe we could make such a motion.
Finish.
Um,
I motion that we move to executive session for the duration of the broadcast outage, and then return immediately back to the regular session. To return to conduct contract negotiation with non-union personnel and to approve the executive session minutes of the meeting.
And I'll second. Okay.
And then we'll return once we're broadcasting.
Immediately.
Immediately.
Yep. I second.
All right. Any discussion on that? Hearing none, we'll vote. Alyssa?
Yes.
Ed? Yes? Please say it. Say it.
Yes.
Thank you. Kelly?
Yes.
Joe?
Yes.
Chair votes yes. So we are in recess, I guess?
Well, we're in
Oh, we're in executive session.
We were already in recess.
In regular session, it is 7:25 p.m. Return to regular session, school committee. I believe we were in the middle of recognizing wonderful work that our NAMS staff and students did.
correct.
During the evacuation.
During the hazmat, during the evacuation last week. Again, we're so grateful to North Andover Fire Department, North Andover Police Department. The fire department responded right away. They led the way. They took control of the situation. The police department helped in the evacuation part. We're moving the kids to the high school. They were with us the whole time at the high school. North Andover Middle School's administration leadership team, George Gonzalez, Carolyn Beasley, Craig Murray, Sue Donatel, were just amazing. The North Andover staff, all the teachers, teaching assistants, nurses, school staff, office staff, everybody pitched in. It's really what you want to see people do. I had mentioned that we have a safety security binder. It worked perfectly. We followed and executed just like we would want them to do. Lucy McCarthy, who's our director of transportation, was able to get buses. I swear she has a cape, that woman. And she was able to get buses here to help us transport them and then to help us to get them home. The office staff, Michelle McHugh and Cindy Parent, were sending messages as we were talking and typing over the phone and answering phone calls. Erica Murphy, our director of food services, she worked along with the NAM staff and the North Andover High School staff in order to feed the students. The pizza was just coming out and coming out and coming out with smiles on their faces. It was amazing. Our town manager, Melissa Rodriguez, she was first to call, worked quickly with us to help get a statement out. Lori Burzlaff, who was helping us with the aftermath, and so many of the other town officials, Chet Jackson and North Andover High School, who accepted the NAM students, who helped us with traffic, who cleared their gym, so we were able to be in there during the day. Office staff here, Marcy, myself, Mike Grant were directing traffic at one point. It was really, I just want to, and the students, and I didn't say that, I did say it earlier if you didn't hear me, the North Andover Middle School students did everything we asked them to do on that day. They were calm, they were collected, they followed directions, they played a little bit inside the gym, they did sort of like old-fashioned kinds of things because they didn't have their phones. They talked to each other, they were great. They followed every rule we could have asked them to do and more so. So it was a situation that none of us wanted to have happen, but the people responded appropriately. I know some people have said that they felt that they would have liked to see a little bit more communication. It was not 100% sure when they were supposed to pick up their students, and we apologize for that. You know, sometimes in the moment, not everything works out perfectly, but I think it worked well, given the situation, and then the fact that we were able to get in the next day for school was really amazing, and had some opportunities. Our school counselors were great. They were there with the kids, talking to the kids, our special education staff, supporting all the students. I don't want to leave anybody out. I do want to single out Todd Workman, who is a custodian at North Andover Middle School. Both the fire department and the people from the hazmat team and from Good Harbors, or Clean Harbors, sorry, just talked about how instrumental he was in the support, and really he was one of the first people on the scene, and all of NAM's custodians. So I'll stop talking because it's been a long time. I hope they just know how much we appreciate and recognize their really good hard work.
I want to add our thanks as a school committee wholeheartedly to that, to everyone Pam mentioned. So it was fantastic.
Including Ms. Latham.
And including you, of course.
Everybody did a great job. Thank you.
Yes. All right, then, we also want to recognize our departing Ben Abbott, who's going off to bigger, better places. So congratulations on we thank you for your 2 years of service to this committee, and so we have something for you.
His parents are here tonight, too.
Oh, so, just in case you have a whole bunch of these. I'll put SC on it so you know who it came from. But congratulations, good luck. Really appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
For anyone watching, listening, or here in the room that doesn't know, Ben's been with us for 2 years, leading the way, brought some wonderful people behind him to carry on, and we really appreciate everything that he's done for us. And that, nope, you guys are on soon, but.
Can I say a word?
Sure, oh, absolutely.
Ben, thank you for the past 2 years. When we met first by phone, I guess a while ago, when we interviewed you. And I knew at the moment that you would be a capable leader in this role. Just you're very thoughtful and well-spoken, and and genuine and true. So thank you for attending all the time and bringing us the important information. In particular, the charge you guys brought us about school bathrooms and the concerns, and making sure that you were speaking for your students, for your fellow students, was really, really important. So thank you for that. As you go forward, keep in mind that that's the type of advocate that we want you to be everywhere as you leave North Andover Public Schools, and I know that you'll be able to do that. So best of luck and congratulations. And thank you to Mom and Dad for allowing us to spend some time with him. He's a great young man who's going to do fantastic things, and you should be very proud of him.
All right. Well, Ben, we're going to miss you. So, yeah, I couldn't say it better, so that's great. And anyone else want to make a comment? Nope. Again, thank you, Ben. All right. Moving on, we have consent agenda. First, the minutes from April 30th. Someone has a motion.
I move to accept them.
The motion's been made. We have a second.
I second.
Motion's made and seconded. Any discussion on those minutes? Hearing none, seeing none, we'll vote. We'll begin with Ed.
Yes.
Alyssa?
Yes.
Kelly?
Yes.
Joe?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes. Second item, grants and donations to the district. We have two. Can we take them together?
Yeah.
I think we can, yeah. So the first is fiscal year 25 civics teaching and learning grant for $32,000, and then FC 202 Vacation Acceleration Academies grant for $106,400. And I believe we've heard about that one before, just the last meeting, right? You were talking about that one, I believe.
I think so. Maybe.
Yeah.
I don't remember.
I thought a few things have gone by.
A few things have
but-
gone by. Yep, two grants that Kristen Andor, our Humanities Director, wrote and secured for the district. The civics grant will focus on K-5 students. It supports our curriculum, professional development, collaborative planning, so we can use it for curriculum materials. We cannot use it for things like salaries or technology, but it can support professional development. And that grant starts July 1 and ends June 30th. So we have the school year to spend that grant. And then the vacation, obviously, acceleration grant will start once immediately, and then that ends September 8th, 2023, and that's to support students K to 10, rising first graders through 10th grade. For English language arts is what we're focusing on for the summer. There's lots of perimeters set around that, so small group. We look at students' testing, we look at their MCAS scores, some of their testing throughout the school year. It will focus on English language arts for all students this time.
One quick follow-up question.
Sure.
Does the $106,400 cover the entire cost of?
It covers the entire cost.
For this summer's vacation acceleration academy. Thank you. Mr. Chair, I move that we accept the grants as noted in the packet and the terms associated with them.
Thank you.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, very good. Any further discussion?
So what are the terms that we're accepting? Just that that's what they'll be used for? That's all that, from the committee, that we have to approve that they'll be used for?
So we accept the
Those
terms that we wrote the grant for, and that the monies will be expended by those. That you're accepting the terms that the money is being appropriated from July 1 to July 30th for the civics, and then we have until September 8th to spend the money for the Accelerated Academy.
Okay, so so the only terms are that they have to be used for those two purposes. There's not additional terms or anything that are documented as part of the grants that we need to know and are accepting? I'm asking the question because I don't know. So I want to make sure I know what we're accepting.
They were applied for specifically, right?
Okay.
Like these were specific applications made and granted, and we just have to formally accept them.
Okay, and then those monies are tracked separately, and that's part of the budget that gets tracked overall, so we will track those grants separately in the budget, or does that?
We
how
track
does
the
that work?
grants through my old office, my office, the Assistant Superintendent for Teaching and Learning. We track the grants. It's through GEMS, so that's part of DESE. So it's very secure, very controlled. You have to put a budget in when you receive these grants to say how you're gonna spend the money. So it's just like planning. You plan how many teachers you're going to have, how much materials you're going to have. You make a budget for it. You have X amount of time to be able to spend that money. And then sometimes you'll bring in a professional development provider, but that money is controlled through GEMS. We have the state really takes care of that.
So would that ever be part of, because we're talking about, looking at the budget and knowing what project.
It's not reflected in our operating budget.
But is it part of the overall
It's
budget?
part
spend
of,
that
so
we
what you would want to know is that it's part of the monies that we use in order to educate our students. So it's money outside of the operating budget. So I think as you are thinking about, it's part of the SOA, the Student Opportunity Act that we wrote. So we wrote that in order to be so we could apply for these kinds of grants. And it sort of gives you and the community the picture of, in order to do the things that we're doing with our students, the operating budget is not funding this. It's being funded from a grant that we are writing to be able to bring this opportunity to our school district.
Could we think of this as a special fund? It's not the general fund. It goes into a special, each grant is its own fund? Is that a way to think about it?
I guess yes, but I don't know if you're asking, do you want me to create another fund that you're reviewing?
No, I don't want to burden you, but I'm just trying to think of conceptually.
Correct. Very good.
It's like a separate
Yes.
fund.
Yep.
It's its own source of revenue. It can be, once we approve it, it can be spent for what we
Once you
approved
accept it.
for. Yes,
It's
okay.
outside the operating budget number that we passed.
Or the
Correct.
general
A year
fund
plus ago.
anyway, yes,
Right.
right. So I don't see it in the papers for today, so all I've gotten was like 15-second description. I think 30 or 45 would be plenty. But what are these two? One's 100 and something thousand?
Yeah, one's, as Pam just said, one's this, for the Summer Vacation Acceleration Academy, the summertime program. The second one, the 106,000 funds a
Okay.
summer program. And the first one is civics for K through 5, I believe.
Correct.
It's a special
thank you.
civics program. Okay. Any more discussion? I think we have a motion seconded to approve, to accept these. So we'll vote.
Yes.
Alyssa?
Yes.
Kelly?
Yes.
And Joe?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes, so thank you to those grant writers and receivers. Okay, now, we have the student representatives report, and for the final time, we get Ben Abbott, and CC Troy, and Harper Barrios.
Hello. To start, the Nas Drama Guild has announced a senior 24-hour musical that will be available to watch on June 17th. They will have 24 hours, I think, to prepare the entire thing and then perform it. I believe they said on Instagram that it should be available, or that they should start performing at around 7 p.m. on that day.
What's the musical?
I don't know. I think they might be doing some of the right. I think they might be doing. I don't know.
What's the date for that?
June 17th. Initial AP testing has finished, with makeup days happening soon. Our North Andover High School GSA attended Youth Pride this past Saturday with around 5 people going. And then lots of activities are starting to wrap up with banquets and senior nights, such as science team had their end of year celebration where they elected next year's captains. And the Stuco banquet is coming up on June 3rd, where we will say goodbye to our seniors, and then council members will each receive a paper plate award made by our council president.
Hello. I just want to start off and say, Ben, congratulations. You've been a great mentor to me. I'm so proud to brag and say, yeah, Ben Abbott, like, he's my mentor. Like, he gave me the opportunity to sit here right now and report on what's been happening at the school. And, you've really helped me a lot through my leadership journey. I don't know if I would be in the position I am now if it wasn't for you. I still remember class board freshman year. You were there, and I just remember you were really thoughtful, and you had a lot of great input, and you've always been so helpful and supportive of so many other people's journeys too. And so I just want to thank you and congratulate you. And I like to say to my favorite seniors, it's never too late to be a super senior, but I think for you, I know you have bigger and better things ahead of you waiting for you, and I just know you're going to do so much bigger, greater things ahead of you, and I'm just so proud of you, and I just want to thank you. And going off of that, today's Student Council, we want to thank our seniors this year for being such a big impact on our council this year. We've accomplished so much, like becoming a Gold Council of Excellency for the state. We brought a lot of delegates to conferences, regionals, state, and now we're joining nationals next year, and it's all because of our seniors, and I just want to show appreciation towards them too. The student council, this week was Dude Be Nice week. So at the beginning of the week, we did these sticky notes where we wrote every single student's name on the sticky notes and wrote "You are loved" on the wall with the sticky notes. And I've seen a great outcome. Students, I see them looking at the wall, looking for their name, and when they find it, they get so happy. And it's just amazing. It makes them feel appreciated, and it makes me happy because I want them to know they're appreciated and loved. We also did the beautiful and average doors. So basically we had a sign with a door that said beautiful and a sign with a door that said average, and we locked the average doors so nobody could go through the average doors because everybody is beautiful, okay? I don't care what they think about themselves, they are beautiful. And we will keep telling them that all week. And just another thing is we did a video, me, Harper, and our PR manager, we created a video for Dude Be Nice Week where we basically interviewed people, basically telling them that, hey, we have a project and can we take a picture of you? They would be like, yeah. And then we'd be like, so for our project, we had to take pictures of beautiful things, and cutest reactions. It makes me so happy. We did it last year. It was amazing. And we also asked 2 other questions. It was a great video. I think it turned out amazing. It's on our student council Instagram if you want to go watch it. It's really cute. This week was choir elections, very exciting. And speaking of choir, today is the choir concert. They've been working very hard the past few weeks to bring on this great concert, so I'm very excited to watch it later. This week was also MCAS for the sophomores, so good luck to them. I know they all did pretty good. And Bio MCAS is coming up for the freshmen, so they better watch out.
Hello, everyone. So I'll get to kind of my thoughts on the last 2 years at the end. But first, I was on the Spanish exchange about a month ago in Granada, Spain. That was kind of from the beginning of April break until the 26th. We did end up at the last meeting I attended. Mr. Moskowitz told me about a special spot in Granada where you can see the Alhambra light up, and we did visit it, and it was pretty awesome.
Did you go up there?
Yeah, we did, and it was excellent.
Cool.
Today was the seniors' last day. Tomorrow begins senior week. We have Apex Entertainment, which is a go-karting place, bowling, and an arcade. Tuesday is Kimball Farm and graduation practice, as well as scholarship night that night. Wednesday is senior prom, and Thursday is awards day. And then Friday we graduate. And then from Friday night into Saturday morning is the send-off for seniors kind of all-night party, which is put on by the parents of various seniors and the administration. Project 351 reunion at Gillette Stadium is next Saturday and Sunday. Myself and 8th grader Alex Havermeyer will be attending. We do various service and hear from various leaders in the Massachusetts and Boston community, and it's the midpoint of that ambassador year that 8th graders, such as Alex, partake on throughout Massachusetts and kind of commit themselves to service in their communities. And today kind of marks the end of spring sports. I believe every single sports team is in the playoffs, which is pretty exciting. North Andover is definitely a sports community, and it definitely is great for that school community. So I'd just like to say I'm very thankful for having this opportunity and having this experience. It's meant a lot to me. For example, I'm applying to an internship with Harvard and with Helen Pickard, and with Neighbors in Need in Lawrence. It's a community service internship, and I just think that kind of reflects the skills that I've learned through this experience, kind of advocacy for my community, speaking with authority, and those kind of things. I'm really excited to attend Harvard and to pursue a career in service and in helping others, and I think that a lot of these skills came from here. One thing that I do ask of you in the coming years, with the removal of Dr. Gilligan and the deficit, I just ask that student representatives are kind of included in the conversation from the very beginning. I will be long gone, and I believe Cece and Harper will also be gone by the time that happens, but the future representatives who will be here at the next meeting and the ones next year, I really implore you guys to include them from the very beginning, and all of that. So thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, any questions for the students or comments? All right, thanks, guys. As usual, you can stay if you like, but I'm sure you got better things to do. So thanks again. And congratulations, Ben, and good luck to you. All right, we have now, we're moving to the public hearing on school choice that we need to open.
It's only in person, though.
Oh, that's right, okay. What's that? All right, so do we need a motion to enter into it?
Can you click on that? Oh, there it is, thank you.
Oh, okay. Oh, here we go, I got it in front of me. So in conducting all public hearings required by law and others, we have given due public notice. We've made available printed information on the topic, and we will give the public opportunity to be heard, should they be here. So,
I have to make a motion.
yeah, I think you do, yeah.
Mr. Chair, I move that we go into public hearing for the purpose of discussing school choice.
Second, someone?
Second.
I think we have a motion seconded. Any discussion? Okay, hearing none, we'll vote. Mr. Hicks?
Yes.
And Ms. Cormier, I'm going formal now. Ms. Cormier?
Yes.
Ms. Dr. Moskovich?
Yes.
Ms. Koenig?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes. So we are in public hearing for school choice participation for 2024-2025 school year.
And Ms. Lathrop, can you just, I know we get to it later, but can you repeat just briefly tell us what the administration's recommendation is for school choice?
The district's recommendation is that we do not participate in school choice.
Thank you.
So if anyone would like to speak on this, you're welcome to approach the microphone. Don't all rush up at once. All right, so we have no one who wishes to speak. We have a recommendation.
Do we need to keep it open for a certain period of time?
When we did it previously, we did leave it open for a certain period of time because it was broadcast, and we didn't know if anyone was going to log in during that time to do it. We could wait a minute or two to see if one joins us.
I would recommend we wait just a little bit, just in case anybody
Sure.
wants to run in at the 11th hour.
Okay, I'm good with that. I'm good with that. Yes, you can get a water. And I had a feeling this was going to be 2 soda night.
Still sticking with my decaf tea, but,
Well, this is no caffeine.
no, there you go. Did we say how long we were talking, or just, what's our,
I think we give it one more minute.
one
We'll
more
give it
minute?
Till 5 up, it's like a minute and a half. Oh, well, 5 up on that clock. It'll be 7:51 on my watch.
We need to install a fan if we keep meeting.
Install a fan?
If we keep meeting all summer, we're gonna need a fan.
Oh.
Yeah, it gets toasty in here.
There's a little stuff in.
I was hesitant to do that before because it was so sunny.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm calling it. Mr. Chair,
Yes, sir.
I make a motion to end the public hearing on school choice and
Yep.
return to public session.
All right, we have a motion.
I second that motion.
All right, any discussion?
I just think it's appropriate time because we indicated on the agenda that we start the superintendent's report at 7:50.
Okay.
And it is 7:50.
I like it. All right. So we'll vote to end the public hearing and resume regular session. Mr. Joe Hicks.
Yes.
Kelly.
Yes.
Ed.
Yes.
Alyssa.
Yes.
And chair votes yes. All right, we are back in regular session, 7:50. And it is 7:50 and time for the superintendent's report.
Nice job. We're going to start with our annual health review. I'd like to invite Cheryl Barzak and her team of nurses. Cheryl is our director of nursing, and she has a presentation for you tonight with these saints that she's bringing up with her.
That's my CPR training team up there. I want to tell you, they made sure that nobody cheated in the CPR training. Really good about that.
So thank you for the opportunity to be here this evening. I'm Cheryl Barzak. For some of the new members that don't know me, I've been in the district for quite some time. My background's in critical care nursing, as well as I was a clinical researcher for medical device companies and ran clinical trials worldwide for about 15 years. And when I was ready to make a change from that career and traveling all over the world, I met someone at an event, and she said, "Oh, you should come try school nursing." And everyone thought, "You're never going to want to do that. You know, you're a critical care nurse." And I learned very quickly how rewarding and how challenging school nursing is, because you are the only medical professional in the building. And I called some of my colleagues and said, "We have a student that's on a ventilator. Students have seizure disorders. You give EpiPens. I see 30, 40 kids in a day. It is the most challenging career as a nurse." So I just wanted to make sure you guys had kind of an overview of what it's like to be a school nurse in North Andover. Next slide. So this is the National Association of School Nurses, their updated school nurse framework, and I'm not going to go into this, but it's just to remind me to just talk about how large and how broad the scope is, because school nurses are pediatric nurses, they are have to have a background in mental health to see our students, emergency care, as well as public health. And I can now understand why DESE requires a school nurse to have 2 years of experience minimal before you can even apply for a license to be a school nurse. Because you really can't start, because you never know what's going to walk in the door, and you really have to have a good base and some experience to work in the school setting. Next slide. So each year I give an overview of the health visits that we've had, and so as of Tuesday of this week, we've had 49,140 students come into the health offices in our 8 schools in the district.
And it's just in the school year?
This is just from September till Tuesday, May 21st. Yes. Of those visits, 15,881 were medication delivery. About 10,000 of those are scheduled medications, so those are medications like psychotropic meds that students receive, seizure meds. And then PRN medications, those are medications that are as needed. PRN means as needed. And those would be your analgesics, Tylenol, Advil, antacids, antihistamines, and that type of medication. Delivered treatments, that would be our tube feeds, our blood glucose monitoring for students with diabetes. But one thing I failed to mention at the beginning was that the mission of school nursing, of course, is to keep students in school. And the goal is to have students return to class. And students with all of these medical conditions can be in our schools, and parents know that they're safe and ready to learn. And we have consistently had about a 95% return to class rate throughout the school year. Massachusetts runs about 90%. So we're doing, I think, a really great job, or the nurses are doing a great job. Another large part of the role is parent communication, 7,863 that we've recorded so far. We do have an electronic health record that we've used for many years. We did have a new one that we like a little bit better these last 2 years, so the nurses document when they have these communications, and of course they're the liaison with parents so that parents know that health needs can be met in an academic setting.
Why do you think our return to class percentage is 5% higher than the state? What are our nurses, what are we doing, what are the nurses doing so right that we're getting more kids back to class? Just being you? Is that?
I just need a microphone if you're going to speak. Ed, maybe we can move Ed's.
That's impressive, getting that many more kids back to class.
Oh, it is.
Two for one. It's my daughter. I think they're sending back to class. Thank you.
I have been a pediatric nurse for 28 years and have a lot of experience in a few different school settings. And I would say, as part of this team, I think one of the things that this team does best is take it to the next level. So we don't just stop at, oh, you have a stomach ache, you have nausea. We talk to the kids, we talk to the parents, we talk to the teachers. Maybe it's something that needs further workup. Maybe we can support the kid through it. Maybe they stay a little while in the office and they come back. We make temporary plans. There's no one size fits all service, and the nurses in this district don't stop until they hit the goal of return to class, if it's possible.
That's something the nurses are empowered to make that choice and decisions and for what's right for the student.
Yeah, it's the goal of the whole job.
Just for
Healthy kids in
background,
school.
we have an absenteeism protocol that Cheryl and her team, and I think Michelle O'Leary worked on, that's followed, and it's one of the reasons why North Andover received all of their, as many points as we could on the MCAS. In terms of chronic absenteeism, we have a very good attendance rate, and we receive all the points that we can, and we were considered given high marks in that area. But it's a flow chart, and it's something that they've developed. And like they said, they don't just take it for that. It incorporates mental health and all other aspects of the students, but that's been in place.
Okay. Here's a breakdown of some of our special health care needs throughout the district. They're actually pretty consistent year to year. I looked back until 2013, all the way up until this year, and we actually had some pretty high numbers of anxiety and depression back then as well. It certainly did spike over 600 during the COVID year, and certainly something we want to keep working on to decrease. But the one that continuously increases year to year is allergies. Of those 443 students with allergies, 300 of them are life-threatening, and the students have EpiPens. So that, not sure why, but in our district that does continue to rise, and I think throughout the country it has. I don't have anything else on that. So breaking down the health office types by systems, again, we talked about behavioral health visits. The nurses offer a lot of reassurance, what's some good things that you do for reassurance? Check-ins, guidance, and it's a safe place for students to go when they need a break. And the nurse is someone that is trusted and really helps them get through their school day. Yeah. And endocrine visits, that's your students with diabetes, and a lot of our students wear continuous glucose monitors, and they have pumps, and so they can stay in class longer, which is the goal. The new technology allows that to happen. Most of the others here are self-explanatory. Neurological, those are students with concussions, with seizure disorders, students that have headaches. And then respiratory, we see a lot of that right now with allergies and asthma, a lot of ENT, ear, nose, throat assessment. Nurses listen to lungs. And then emergency 911 calls this year, we have had 21, which is about where we run, somewhere between 18 to 22 911 calls. And as I mentioned, the nurses in the district really have to have good critical thinking skills and know what to do in an emergency and to be calm. And the next slide, when we had the presentation here, I think last month, when the person did the assessment for safety, he did a shout out to the school nurses, and he said we were exemplary, and this is why. It's something we've worked on really hard the last couple of years, and they all are very exemplary. We have 22 AEDs in the district, but 10 of our nurses are certified American Heart instructors, and they took the time on one of our professional development days to all become instructors. And they have embraced that and have made CPR courses available after school for all staff, for our community programs staff, for all of our athletic coaches, for people on the crisis team, as well as students. Our 9th grade students are all CPR instructed, as well as 6th grade students The nurses attended the Stop the Bleed training this year. We have Narcan in all of our AED boxes. We have tourniquets for Stop the Bleed in our AEDs boxes. Choking first aid is taught to every fourth grader, and every staff member is trained on how to administer an EpiPen, all staff in all schools. And this year is actually, the number's pretty high. We've administered 7 EpiPens to students, 3 in the last 2 weeks. So it's been a year where you really have to, I mean, we're lucky to have school nurses in all of our buildings so that we can address these critical life-threatening situations. And this year, we're going to let some of the nurses in the schools give you an overview of what a day in the life looks like in their school. So we're going to start with our Early Childhood Center 2 nurses, Jennifer McGrath and Karen Duty.
Cheryl, she asked us to speak. We love taking care of students. We both hate public speaking, so bear with us. We did write it down just because this is not really our forte. But so between Jen, between Jen and I, we have over 30 years of clinical experience working in the hospital setting, in emergency medicine, the cardiac cath lab, and the ICU. And currently, we have the pleasure of providing nursing care for 447 kindergarten and preschool students. As you might imagine, we go through a lot of ice packs and Band-Aids, but we wanted to take a few minutes tonight to share some of the other aspects of our jobs that happen behind the scenes. So on average, we start the school year with about 300 students who are brand new to North Andover Public Schools. And we usually have about 150 students returning to us that we already know because they've attended preschool. They're either returning for their second year of preschool or moving on to kindergarten. We do have to start preparing for these new students over the spring and the summer because we need to know them all by the time they walk through the door, what their medical needs are going to be. So we review their physicals, medical paperwork, and we reach out to parents of any students that have medical needs. And students that have chronic health conditions who may be requiring medical care in school. We will work with their parents and their medical providers to develop individualized healthcare plans and emergency action plans, and that's to ensure that we're meeting all of their needs during the school day. Currently, we have healthcare plans for students with cardiac conditions, seizure conditions, autoimmune disorders, feeding tubes, and life-threatening food allergies. The first few weeks of school are very busy. We are continuing to go through the paperwork, and we have to also start the process of making sure that all of our students are compliant with the state requirements for their immunizations, lead testing. So again, just that's kind of a boring paperwork side of the job, but it is important to make sure that everybody's safe. This is also the time of year where we're getting to know all of the students, which is really like the really fun part of the job, balances out all that paperwork. And one thing that we do is to help us get to know them is we do go into every kindergarten class, every preschool class, and we teach a lesson on hand washing. We call it germ etiquette, but sort of teaching them not to cough and sneeze all over their friends, try and aim for the elbow. Don't put your finger in your nose, as we're talking to them about, don't put your finger in your nose. Half of them have their finger up their nose, but you know, that's a good teaching moment. And then we're back in the classrooms again in October, and that's when we're doing vision screening. And that's really important because we always catch some kids that do need glasses, and that is gonna be really important for them to be able to, you know, be right on board with all of their classmates so that they can see the board and not feel like they're falling behind because they can't see. Despite all of our best efforts to teach them not to share their germs, they do share their germs. And a lot of our younger students, this might be their first time being exposed to some of the common viral illnesses, so they tend to catch everything that goes their way. And once a GI bug or something hits a classroom, it tends to make its way through the whole class. So asthma-related visits will increase because as the upper respiratory viruses circulate. And this is where school nurses can play a vital role of assuring parents, we can give them their inhaler throughout the day. We can assess them. We will have students that will call the parents and say, listen, we've listened to their lungs, like, please call their pediatrician, they're not sounding good. And, if they can get them on steroids early, that can save them a trip to the emergency room. So that's something that is really crucial and, an important part of our job. And then we do more screening, hearing, and we do some more lessons with the students in February, dental lessons. I said business picks up in January and February because that's when the flu often will start circulating, and we'll have just higher numbers of everything, strep, stomach bug. So Cheryl always shares all of our visit numbers with all the principals on a monthly basis, and you can see everything spike as we hit that time of year. And then we're also making a last push to follow up with families that were missing needed vaccines. And we'll work with the families to connect them with providers and make sure that they have access to getting those vaccines. And sometimes it's a lot of phone calls and a lot of follow-up, but it's important, and we'll keep reaching out until every student has the vaccines that they need to be in school. Sure.
All right. So as the weather improves in the spring, we typically see our students, the numbers of strep and flu decline, but that's usually just in time for those spring allergies to start. So the fun really never stops at our health office or any of the health offices. With our young population, we often provide care for our students within their classroom. We have a couple of students who require hands-on nursing care throughout the day. For our students with chronic health concerns, who do require nursing intervention on a daily basis, we provide that nursing care in their classrooms to meet their needs instead of interrupting their class routine, causing them miss class time. So otherwise they would be transitioning to the health office and back multiple times a day and missing, vital class time. As of this past April, we provided 585 nursing treatments and procedures, and the vast majority of those treatments were provided within the student's classroom setting.
Throughout the school year, we're also responsible for completing health assessments on children who are referred to our special education program for evaluation. So many of these children are referred to the ABECC directly from early intervention because for those students that are in early intervention, when they turn 3, they're going to age out of early intervention. So they need to transition to the school setting in order to continue to receive much needed services. So we do a complete health review to determine if children are going to qualify based on specific medical needs, and also just to determine what a child's medical needs will be in the school setting, if they are going to qualify and will be attending our school. And for some families, this can be a very stressful time because it might be the first time that their child is going to be taken care of by somebody outside of their home. When they come in for these evals, you're like, was that a baby that just walked by? Like they're so little. Some of them look like toddlers still. But for parents of children with medical needs, the stress is really compounded. They're really, really nervous about having somebody else take care of their children. So it's our job to work with these families and develop those individualized healthcare plans, the emergency action plans, to reassure them that all of their medical needs that will be met in school, we can take care of their children. They are safe with us. And we will have completed about 70 health evaluations by the end of the school year.
I know some other nurses will be touching on this too, but unfortunately our population, even though they are so young, they're not immune to the increased pressures that are affecting more and more school-aged children these days. With this age group, sometimes these feelings manifest as behavioral changes and emotional dysregulation, or like what people say, acting out. Often these students will have physical symptoms such as stomach aches or nausea. We work closely with our amazing school guidance counselor, Jenny Alquist, to empower these very young students. And while those physical symptoms are very real, there are some techniques that they can use to help, stop their brain tricking their body into feeling that way. And we assure them that they're healthy enough to be in school. We are also in close communication with these parents of these students, and in some cases, with the parents' permission, we communicate directly with the student's pediatrician to provide some insight from the school setting. So, all of us can be working together to help these students.
almost done. We certainly see our share of head bumps and scraped knees, but it is in some of these other aspects of the job that we really need to draw upon our years of nursing experience. We're so lucky to work with such an amazing team over at the ABECC, and everyone has an important role to play. And I hope this gives everyone a little more understanding of the role of the school nurses over there. Thank you.
Good job. And now Janelle Borowski, who's brand new to the district in January of this year. The other elementary nurses who are here cheering her on asked her to give the presentation about elementary.
Oh, nice.
Okay, so because I'm a little bit newer, I decided to talk about the educational aspect that we do over there because that's what I was the most familiar with. So I'm from Kitteridge, and while we do have a mix of acute injuries and illnesses throughout the day that we care for, we also have chronic and scheduled medications like so many of the other schools. Some nurses at our level call these appointments to maintain privacy instead of the child saying, I have to go see the nurse for my medication. But elementary school nurses also focus on health education to build good habits and a deep understanding for students to take them throughout the rest of their time in school. So developmentally at this age, kids really love to learn. So it's a really good opportunity to build on some targeted lesson plans. So we make the lessons engaging, fun, and student-focused to draw them into the material and make it more applicable to their lives. So each year we focus on a different subject to teach that's based on the needs of that particular grade. So the lesson plans are based on what the students can understand at that age, what they may be dealing with, and what they're developmentally able to actually handle. So in first grade, we kind of piggyback off of the early childhood nurses, and we go into infection control as well. At this age, we really want to promote outstanding hygiene to reduce the risk of infection, and we really want this to be a common theme throughout their time in North Andover. So every time I see a student in the health office, we also go over hand washing too. So it builds off of every interaction that I see with them. And then in second grade, we go over dental and oral health. Around this time, students are really starting to lose more teeth, so focusing on dental hygiene just makes more sense. It's more present and in front of them. Some elementary school nurses have partnered with local dentists and orthodontists to assist with the presentation, and kids love it. We use like these giant teeth and like toothbrushes, and they're so excited. The dentists are so excited. It's like a really fun day for the second graders. So that's a really fun one too. Third grade, we do sun safety. This lesson is usually done in the spring, and we talk about sunscreen application. We do it in the spring, so it's really fresh going into summer, so parents aren't battling with their kids about sunscreen application. It just makes it easier with everyone. Fourth grade, we have choking first aid, where we teach students and teachers the Heimlich maneuver. We also go over how to place a 911 call and the role of big emergencies. So students and teachers get to practice the Heimlich maneuver on some of the dummies that we have. This one really hit home for me. This year I was in the health office when I received word that a student was upstairs choking. So I ran upstairs to the classroom, and by the time I got up there, a teacher was already giving the Heimlich maneuver to the fourth grade student, and it was a fourth grade teacher. So it was a wild moment of seeing the lesson that we teach every year to that fourth grade teacher just coming to life and saving a student's life right in front of me. So that was a really, really cool thing to just see how impactful these lesson plans are, because we always talk about acute injuries and illnesses and chronic illnesses, but to see like the educational impact that we have was really cool that day. Fifth grade is growth and development. I actually did 2 of these talks today. So to prepare the students for puberty in middle school, we present a growth and development lesson. So this lesson encourages questions, and it's done in smaller groups that foster like smaller communication and everything. And it also promotes hygiene at this age. And this is a really fun lesson too for kids this age. It's really cool that we have this as well. And then we also do staff training, We educate staff on EpiPen use, and we also have quarterly meetings with our crisis team on what to do in the event of an emergency in the school. We also do education by request based on what the teachers are seeing. So we work really closely with the other staff members in the school. So we do lesson plans on playground safety, food allergies, and EpiPen use for the students, particularly when they're transitioning to the middle school. And then we might do a hygiene class for the individual or at a grade level. And then we also do diabetes education for either a teacher or an individual as needed. And that's it. Yes.
Two quick questions.
Yes.
And for you talked about 911. Are all of our phones direct dial to 911? You don't have to dial anything additional to get to 911, correct? Correct. We don't have to dial 9 or 1 to go 9. Great. Puberty. Helen's laughing at me. Thankfully. This past year, new health and wellness standards came down from the state, and they had a lot of changes in terms of what the expectations are for instructing about what information should be shared with kids. Have we made modifications to the presentations that are given to kids? Are they more gender inclusive? Are the boys and the girls getting all the information about the boys and the girls? Are they, or just the only some of the information? And are they doing it in mixed groups, or are they being separated?
So we are getting the information to both boys and girls about boys and girls. Right now we're doing it separate, but I believe next year we're talking about doing it mixed. So we're making that transition right now. As far as the gender inclusive language, I haven't really broached on that, but I'm new this year, so I'm not quite sure if we changed the curriculum from last year because I wasn't here. So I'm not quite sure.
We have been working towards it even prior to
Use the microphone.
declarations.
You're going to have to talk to their microphone, Helen.
So they have been moving towards that. They have been moving towards that. And to your point about the new DESI regulations, I just went to the training with Michelle O'Leary, as well as our PE teachers from elementary, and we will start working on implementing that in the fall.
Yeah, they were grossly out of date.
Yes,
I mean, they're from 1999.
Yes, they were
very bad. Thank you.
Sure. Next will be Kathleen Pease, one of our middle school nurses.
It's okay with me, but I don't think it will reach.
All right, we'll go.
Well, maybe it will.
It's a lot.
Yeah, you have to be closer to it.
Closer. Oh. Excellent. So a day in the life at the middle school. What does that mean? No 2 days in the middle school are ever the same, ever.
As we found out.
Yes, in a lot of different ways. So, of course, we manage sick visits and daily medication administration, immunization management, and state screenings. But I'm going to take this opportunity to share a few different things that maybe people wouldn't understand or be aware are part of our role in the school and in the health office. So the first thing I want to talk about is anxiety. Our numbers reflect reports of increased anxiety. I don't think we need to do surveys to know that. So we decided to take that on as our goal for the year, and we worked with the health teacher to have an opportunity to do anxiety classes in every 6th grade health class. So every 6th grader takes health at a different trimester, and we went into the classroom 3 times, no, sorry, a whole bunch of times, 4 times a trimester. Excuse me. And we worked with her to coordinate our anxiety lesson with her stress and stress management. So I'm just being age appropriate. I'm using all emojis for my presentation. In the corner is the brain, and that little green almond is the amygdala. The amygdala is this tiny little part of your brain, but it's really important because it keeps us alive. It's in charge of fight or flight, but it can also wreak havoc. Amygdala was in your brain way, way, way before frontal lobe or logic happens, developed. So amygdala is always like the first responder. So we talk to the kids about this little almond shape part of their brain that if they're faced with something that could be stressful, like it starts sounding the alarms and getting everyone aware. And, you know, it's really handy if you're running away from a saber-toothed tiger. You want that to, that process to kick in. But that, like you said, what did you say? Your brain tricks your body? I love that. So this is the middle school version of your brain tricking your body. And then kids come to us and say, I feel nauseous, or my heart is beating really fast, or I can't breathe. And then the more time, you know, we do a quick assessment, make sure it's not an emergency, but we're able to say to them, are you worried about something? And then we can go backwards and explain to them that their amygdala is firing, but they can be in charge of it. And the way to be in charge of your amygdala is to let your breathing be the captain of the ship. The captain can right all the wrongs. So physiologically, if you slow down your breathing and concentrate on it, the rest of your body says, oh wait, we're okay? Oh, okay. So that heart racing stops, it slows back down, and the nausea is because your body was shifting the blood to your thighs so you could run from the saber-toothed tiger. And so by giving the kids little nuggets of information, it sort of takes away, for anyone who's experienced anxiety, that like helpless, powerless, I'm out of control feeling, and lets them have some awareness of how to stop the fight or flight process just with some simple breathing. And we explain, you know, it sounds cliche and we know everyone says that, but we really make them do it. And we've had a good response. We found this little breathing Buddha. We brought it to the class. And he turns green for 5 seconds, and then hopefully he'll turn blue. Felt like a long 5 seconds. And so it sets a pattern, and it helps the kids connect and to slow their breathing down. So we have this in our office, and we, through the grant, right, we were able to get them for health teachers, adjustment counselors, guidance counselors, and you know, sometimes you do a lesson like this and you think it might be hokey, but now we have students who come in and they just go, can I just use this for a minute? And then they go in the other room and they are able to self-regulate with just breathing. So, you know, our lessons are mostly about planting seeds, right? It's not a full therapy session and we can't fix everything, but, well, he does another mode too. That's advanced breathing. But I'm sorry, I'm at the end of allergy, cold, flu, whatever. But so, you know, it felt a little hokey, but it's been really awesome that kids come in and ask for this now, or counselors will be like, oh, we used that and that was really helpful. So the amygdala is really important, but troublemaker, and the kids have some control over it. It's actually good for adults, other humans who may feel anxious at times. Another thing we talk about with anxiety is that language matters. So using words like never and always, right? So we explain what catastrophic means, and we explain what globalization means, and we tell them that your mind will believe what you tell it. So if you say like, I never do good on math tests, or I always have to sit alone at lunch, or like, so just an awareness, right? So it's probably not going to change them, but maybe they'll hear it again and it'll catch themselves and not be able to make a different choice. Another example of language that we use them is, you know, I think for a long time people didn't talk about being anxious. It was sort of taboo, and over the years it's become much more open, which is fantastic. But I'm afraid that the pendulum has swung a little bit, and that people now say, I'm anxious, when it's like, well, yeah, because you're human, right? Like, that's part of life, part of being human. But it becomes an identity or a crutch or a problem that they have to carry with. So we talk about saying things like, I'm feeling anxious, or the anxiety I'm experiencing is uncomfortable right now, or just that small space that puts some distance between them, instead of having like monogrammed Team Anxious shirts made with their names on it. So, you know, we know, like I said, it's just an introduction, and it is planting seeds for awareness. And we shared this, our Google Sheet presentation with all of the 6th grade teachers, so that if kids said things that more of us could be speaking the same language. And we talk about getting comfortable being uncomfortable, and how that is a skill that if you get in 6th grade, man, your life is going to be easy, because we all know what it's like to feel uncomfortable, but that you can tolerate it and get through it. About avoiding not going to things that make us nervous just makes the anxiety fire bigger, instead of by just showing up and tolerating it. It makes the anxiety fire smaller. So we have a lot of language that we use with them, just in hopes of promoting to slowly chip away and give them some skills to cope better with the anxiety they're experiencing. So that's my amygdala and my breathing Buddha. What's next? Knight's Closet. Some of you, I don't know if everyone has been to the middle school or knows what the Knight's Closet is, but about 4 years ago, with the help of multiple staff members, we transformed an unused space in school and basically built a thrift shop, free for shopping thrift shop. And it was done by, it was a solution to parents who were like, oh my God, I have all these things, I don't have cousins, I don't know who to give them to, and people who had needs, and us just being the conduit, being the connection. So a lot of thought and process has gone into developing this program so that it's done with respect, and it's done with dignity, and it's done with choice, and it's done discreetly. But we now have an area in our school where kids can come for basic needs, you know, like Maslow's hierarchy. Like, they can't learn if they're cold, or they don't have clothes, or they're hungry, or in some cases they can't learn if they're so self-conscious because they have a stain on their shirt, or they slipped in the mud. So we're able to bring any student who has any need to the closet and give them anything that they see that they need. And then sometimes we have families visit. We're able to support the whole district. Any school will send families over, or will send items to their school. And also the parent liaisons bring families over to do shopping and stuff. So the closet would not exist without our community. It's run by volunteers who sort and organize and wash clothes and hang clothes, and by community members that donate clothes, and different organizations in the community have given us financial donations where we're able to buy basic things like packs of black leggings and new clean underwear and new clean socks and health and hygiene items. So it really is, it meets unknown needs. So maybe you wouldn't even know that there are so many kids in our district that have so many needs. But the Knight's Closet, if anyone ever wants to come over, would be happy to show it to you. All right. And then that is a Lana Del Rey sticker, the pink one. And if you don't know her, she's a popular musician. So we talked about the goal of students, goal of school nurses is attendance, keeping kids in school. Well, sometimes first you have to get them to school. So we this year had a student who was new to North Andover, actually new to the United States, didn't have any connections, didn't have much support, and was not coming to school. Family believed that she was, but she wasn't. We were having a lot of different issues. We were working with guidance, working with school resource, with administrators, and she would come to us with a lot of issues, whatever it was, and trying to not be in school on the days she would come. And perfect time for a water break. Yeah, I like it. So anyway, we said to her, you know, sort of like, it said to her, like, we'll give you a gold star. Like, you know, she's like, I came 2 days. I'm like, yeah, that's 2. There are 5. That's what we do here. And she was like, she didn't understand what gold star was, so we explained it's a sticker. And she said, oh, do you have Lana Del Rey stickers? And I said, did you say lingerie stickers? Because I'm so old and I didn't even know who Lana Del Rey was. I was like, no, we don't, but we could work with something. So she explained it. We went online, we found some stickers, we ordered them, and I said, I will have these stickers here, but you have to come to school for 5 days. So she started checking in with me. She'd come in, I'm here, yes, I see you, great, great. So tomorrow, if things go well, will be her 5th week of 5 days of school attendance, and she'll get her 5th sticker tomorrow. So small thing, big difference. That to me, the difference is really about having a trusted adult, building relationships, helping with communication, knowing that you belong, knowing that you're wanted, excuse me, and the power of Lana Del Rey stickers. So, and then, let's see, I'm ahead of my cards. My last story is just about a specific student, again, sort of outside of the normal scope of we're talking about like what we do or what the expectation is. And I spoke to the student's mother this week and said, can you help me with this? I'm trying to talk about unusual things or not typical things that we do. And she gave me about 5 different things that we could talk about for her student specifically. But one thing that we were able to help with, this was a student recovering, and Mom gave me permission to share all of this information, but from a life-threatening medical condition, and the family was faced with an enormous, important, life-changing decision on how to proceed with medical care, and had a doctor's appointment with a series of doctors for a second opinion. And Mom asked me if I would go with her. And because she wanted a second set of ears, a note taker, someone physically, the presence of having someone supporting you, and advocating if necessary. And I think that just goes to speak to the importance of our relationships with these families and with our students, and that the opportunities that were given to make a significant difference, it's hard to document, I think, what that meant to that family, or frankly, what it meant to me to be a part of this process. But there was a great outcome, and I was honored to be able to have that role. So, I think these are just some examples. Like I said, middle school, right? Like some of the stuff that we should have written a book. But there's so many opportunity to do good things and important things and things that really treat our whole student and get them through the steps that are necessary to have success, ultimately, educationally, emotionally, socially. Like I said, I've been a pediatric nurse for a long time. I worked at Johns Hopkins Hospital. I worked at Mass General in the pediatric ICU. I worked at North Shore Children's Hospital in the pediatric emergency room. And this job, without a doubt, is the most challenging job I've ever had and the most rewarding. So I'm really grateful to have strong support from everyone and an amazing team and opportunities in our community and in our schools to really help kids at the baseline behind the scenes.
I have a quick question, actually. The Knights Closet, is that promoted like for people to make donations? Is it on the website for the school or?
Yeah, and people will reach out to me. The Power of North Andover Moms. We on Facebook we do advertise. We've had multiple pop-ups over the years, so we'll let people come in and just do free shopping. We've had a fundraiser where we sold some of our more high-end stuff because our kids want sweatpants and hoodies, so no one wants your Lily Pulitzer dress. But we were able to raise money and then buy the things that we do need. Tavern on High made a donation to us so that we could have a raffle, so anyone who bought things at the pop-up sale then won a gift certificate. The North Andover Thrift Shop, which is part of the UCC Church, just made a donation. Rosemary Smedili, what an organization she belongs to. Yeah, so people will sometimes give us finances, but more financial support, but more importantly is the weekly, daily drop-offs. The front office at the middle school is fantastic. We have a cart there. parents can just walk in, leave the cart, and leave, and they'll text or call us and say, you know, you have more stuff. And some of the students in some of the programs will work with their TAs to help bring the stuff down and sort stuff and organize hangers.
Fantastic.
And stuff. So
Yeah.
I really feel so grateful, because the Knight's Closet I wasn't sure how it was going to go, and we had, I say I, but I'm speaking for all of the many adults involved in running this, but it's actually really been woven into the culture in the community, and so it's not a secret, and it's accepted, and kids want to go there, and kids refer each other, and kids know that they can come to us and we're going to fix their problems. You
That's
know,
fantastic.
Sometimes it's
It's great.
whatever, but yeah.
I'm interested in your comment that this is more challenging than a situation which you would think would be more difficult because the children are sicker.
I think there's a lot of reasons that it's more challenging. I have an amazing partner. There's 2 of us, and there's over 1,000 kids, like 10, 20 or something like that. Increased medical needs, increased mental health needs, limited ability. I think in general our culture, society, you know, you used to have a broken leg, you stayed home from school for 2 weeks, but now we have scooters for kids, and there's elevators, and they do crutch training, or we do dressing changes. So kids with higher acuity are in school. The part where you never know what's going to walk in the door, like some of the things that have come in the door, you're like, I'm just going to need a minute, and then you shut off your amygdala and pull on logic and do some quick problem solving. And there's also continuity of care. There's also, we know what needs to be done, but this is someone's child, and the family has to be on board, and there has to be good communication. And then there's sometimes outside doctors or facilities that you have to work with. So there's a lot of work to be done with a lot of kids. And then we also have the kids who cut their finger or need a Band-Aid or have a headache. I mean, so it's juggling, and the relationships are more longer going versus having a patient in the hospital setting. So, which is good, but can also be more complicated and challenging. So I don't know, any other reasons?
I agree. That's perfect.
All those reasons, and then some. We could talk later. Yeah, so that's it.
Next will be the high school. Jessica and Amia.
Hi everyone, I'm Jess. I have 19 years of nursing experience, mostly in pediatrics, neonatal, some nurse management, and school nursing. So we have about 1,400 students and staff at the high school. Developmentally, the kids are a bit more mature, so they kind of come in, they know what they need. We have about 30 to 50 visits a day. It's kind of a revolving door. And this is kind of like a true day. We start off with 2 morning med administrations. We have a couple meetings that we run twice a month, students requiring assistance, so guidance or teachers refer students that they're worried about or might need help getting them on track. We have reentry meetings. We do a lot of concussion and injury management. I've managed about 33 concussions this year to date. And that includes kind of clearance and return to play. It's a whole process. Field trip management, tons of field trips at the high school level. We've had about 24 field trips and 2 international field trips this year. So from a nursing standpoint, that's sort of compiling a health list for the teachers, making sure a nurse is not needed on the trip. We deal with a lot of, just like every other school, complex medical and psychiatric conditions. We have 6 active students with type 1 diabetes on a large monitor that we monitor throughout the school day and look for trends and just touch base with them if we need to kind of get them on track. Then the afternoon hustle and bustle, we have 7 afternoon meds that come in. We also have a a sister closet called the Knights Locker. So we were motivated with what NAMS is doing. So we also have a closet that's accessible for students. And we have a lot of overflow of supplies in the health office, so students don't have to interrupt their day to go to the closet, and they can get a pair of leggings or new undergarments or deodorant, whatever they need. Couple of projects that are sort of ongoing this year. There's a group of students who are really passionate about getting menstrual products accessible in all bathrooms. So we are going to be piloting that in the fall, having 3 bathrooms fully stocked sort of with wall-mounted supplies. And then we have the 84 movement, which is a student-led and empowered initiative regarding vaping. So it doesn't really have much adult presence in those meetings, because a lot of high school kids have verbalized that they don't feel comfortable going to adults to really talk about vaping. And so it's a really impressive sort of new project that's in the works, and it's just sort of another layer of what we're doing with the vaping issue. And then in addition to, we also do screenings for all 10th graders, and another thing that we do is we, this year, we trained about 350 freshmen on CPR and choking and AED use. So that's just a glimpse of what we do. Okay? Yeah.
You said there was 22 AEDs currently in the district. That doesn't include the new ones that we just put at all the other fields, right? Those are just the ones at the school?
This is just schools. And,
great.
The athletic department has some of them, and then we have at least 1 in all the schools. Some have 2 or 3 at the high school.
You said that the diabetes, you have 1 monitor for all the kids, the locking. Is that the same at all the schools? Because remember last year you showed us iPads that you were using. Or do we have the same technology, and is it improved? And is that, I imagine that's much better than the kids feeling like, I'm a little woozy, I should go down to the nurse. I know it's like an improvement. Are we technologically set up with the best products to make sure kids are safe?
Yes, iPad in every school now. Yeah. Yes.
Awesome. Love it. And
thanks to some of these grants.
Yes. You mentioned, Ms. Pease, that we lots of kids. I mean, there's 2 of you in the nurse's office, right? Is there sometimes 3 or third assistant? Over 1,000 kids, and then you hear about nurses and patient ratios at hospitals being much, 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 much lower. Are there recommended ratios for student to nurse guidelines? Are we barely within those? Well, are we within those? Are we barely within those? Are we well within those? How is our current staffing? Is it appropriate for what we should have?
Yes, so it is appropriate for what we should have, thanks to some of the grants that we have.
In that we would not be able to have those, do that if we didn't have the grants?
So it's 1 nurse for every 500 students, but the comprehensive school health grant, that's the first one on this slide, that does allow that 3rd person at the middle school, so that the nurses can attend some of these meetings, do some of the screenings, go to the attendance meetings, do the teaching in the classroom.
And not leave the nurse's office.
Right.
I just want to make sure we have what we need to make sure that our kids stay.
I would be happy to have more if you guys want to approve it, but I understand the budget.
Right. I mean, I know, and I've said this before, but I will say it again. Ms. Fuller at the Atkinson took very good care of William, and when he was first needed to go see her regularly for a medication, the doctor was like, well, is he going to be comfortable going down there? And I was like, well, of course he is. He already goes down there every single day. Now he has a reason. But I also know the middle school nurses have also continue to take very good care of him. He's been not a too frequent visitor this time, but he has gone down there. And I know that the communication is amazing, and the way that he gets treated is obviously the same as everybody gets treated, which is wonderful. So I thank you for that, making sure our kids are physically safe and able to stay in school and learn. So I'll stop now.
No, that's fine. I'll take any questions.
Yes. And this is probably more specifically to the high school, because I know you mentioned like injury management, clearance, and this kind of ties into what we're going to be hearing later on about the possible need of an athletic trainer. So I wanted to know, are those things you're seeing for high school sports that you're having to come in, and would an athletic trainer help alleviate some of the things that you're seeing in your office?
1,000%, yeah. So we, prior to this year, we had an athletic trainer, at least part-time. And, you know, right now I'm managing injury management, so if I'm I'm reported an injury. I'm the one tracking it, making sure they get clearance. That really could be an athletics trainer's role and is at other schools. Concussion management, they're most, well versed in the training with walking through the return to play process. And so, yeah, they're highly trained in different areas than we are. And right now, the nurses at the high school are taking on those responsibilities. It's not impossible, but an athletic trainer is a huge asset to the team, and not only for injury management, but yes, absolutely with concussion management. They are there, they're after school, they can be checking in and seeing how the athlete is doing during the return to play process. So they're absolutely instrumental in that. And they're so specialized with injury management treatment, and we have a state-of-the-art athletic office at the high school level. We really have so much incredible equipment in there, and so to have a full-time person would be absolutely beneficial. Yeah.
This is the last slide. Just wanted to go over some of, and I agree, we need an athletic trainer. The comprehensive school health grant we've had for many years, and that is for us to be able to do things like focus on absenteeism, attend IEP meetings, do this care coordination that all of the nurses have talked about. The behavioral health expansion grant was brand new this year, and it looks like we're going to have it again. This hired a guidance counselor for the elementary schools to be, they were starting at 1 day a week at each of the schools, and I worked with Michelle O'Leary on that grant. A shout out to Barbara Hedstrom, who was a retired nurse that helps write these grants, because we're lucky that we continue to receive them yearly. The Mass Call 3 grant is kind of a community coalition with Lawrence, Methuen, Haverhill, and Andover and us, and that is specifically for prevention. They like us to focus on vaping and substance misuse, and that has helped train some of our health teachers at the high school and middle school, and they'll be putting in some programs starting next year. And I just wanted, one of your past meetings, you talked about Medicaid reimbursement. I know we're talking a lot about budgets. It's not a grant, but the nurses document in our electronic health record all of our visits, and there are 1,151 students Medicaid eligible. So a lot of the $338,000 that was brought in this year, a lot of it is our nursing services, and the money goes to the town and not the schools. So I would advocate, or ask you guys to advocate. The Senate Bill 794 is right now in House Ways and Means. We have written to ask for the support that would get through this year, so that we could have that money come back to the schools. And the last slide. Oh, go ahead.
So are these, particularly the two big ones, are those state grants, or who is giving us this money?
Department of Public Health, state.
Okay. So for the record, I was involved in writing the foundation budget and wrote it so that the Medicaid money came to the schools and got beat by the municipal officials in the legislature. It makes absolutely.
You'd be happy to support this.
I would, but it makes absolutely no budget sense. You do the work, somebody else gets the money. That's a really good recipe for not having the work get done, apart from the fact that it makes sense otherwise.
So Cheryl, the Senate bill you referred to is to change that?
Yes.
So
the money would come back to the schools, specifically school health services for the treatments that we provide to the students.
what was the bill number again?
It's on the last slide.
Oh, 784, thank you.
It's linked. If you click on the number, you'll get the bill.
Okay.
And who to write to. And I can also provide you with some draft letters if you'd like to send them.
I think that's a good idea, actually.
We've sent one from the district, the administration. We sent one 2 weeks ago.
Okay, well, if you send one to me, I'll do the same.
I'll do that tomorrow.
Thank you.
I have one other question. Now, yes, I would be happy to send that and do that. I forgot to ask at the high school about menstrual products. I'm sorry. You said in 3 bathrooms coming up.
Yeah, we're going to be trialing that, yes.
So
Can one of those be an all-gender bathroom, please? Because students it'd be good practice, I think. And I would love, if possible.
Nurse's office. I think the nurse's office was one. right?
So we're actually going to probably do more. John Mullen is getting quotes right now.
Perfect.
And if you, mental progress, so that's another Senate Bill 2491. I'm an advocate here, and we really want to put it in all the bathrooms. And that's what this bill will, it's in the committee right now, so it may actually pass this year. New Hampshire, Vermont, Rhode Island already have passed this.
Fantastic.
And so we may all be required anyway, but we do want to be proactive and get that started as soon as possible. We're going to try to do many bathrooms in the high school. And they'll be also the gender neutral
Well, I
ones,
mean,
yes.
I would.
The single stall as
The
well
single
as
stall, all
right,
gender,
yes.
the all gender ones would be really, really nice. And I would love it if we could expand that as much as we could into the middle school too.
This bill would also be the middle school. What we did for this year was we provided every teacher with menstrual supplies so that at least there was another venue that a student could get them from. But some students came to us and said that's not good enough. And so we are moving forward with this starting in the fall. We were going to try this spring, but money got a little bit too tight. And we actually, one of the nurses at Sargent School, she just got a huge shipment. There's a nonprofit called Free Period that will donate products. So we might not have to have too much money for it. We can get some donated. And I'm trying to look for grants for that as well.
Thank you. I just like when I think about our LGBT students and our queer kids, and specifically our transgender students or our non-binary or who are gender neutral, having an all gender bathroom with the right supplies in there just makes it more welcoming and accessible. And that's also the reason why I was asking about our 5th grade sexual health information. I understand why in the past we've split boys and girls up into different groups, but we have students who will not be in either one of those, and it feels awkward then to be separated that way. So
and the nurses work with those parents.
So the
we
sooner
ask
we
which one
can
they'd like to participate in, and we
I know those things happen, but the sooner we can move towards not having to have those conversations, I feel like it'd be even better for our kids and make it even more welcoming. Not to say that we're not, we do so much stuff to embrace our students, but I feel like that could be a next logical step. So, thank you.
I think on the last slide, one more. Last year, it's the same slide. Celtics were playing last year when we presented. And they're playing again tonight, so there you go. But really, I thank you for all of the support that we receive from administration and from school committees. And North Andover is very lucky, as you heard tonight. The nurses in our community are so talented, professional, and really, really care about the students in our district, and we're lucky to have them.
I would just like to say thank you, one, for coming tonight. You guys were great speakers, so don't let that. Thank you, but more importantly, thank you for not only focusing on keeping the students in school, but truly making changes in their lives, like hearing the things that you're doing for these students. This is the stuff that will matter well beyond when they walk out that door. So, thank you.
All right, thank you, everybody. Appreciate you coming.
Thank you very much.
Love the thrift shops, and I think that you guys are worried about public speaking, but you managed to shut off that little almond. I can't remember what you called it, but the little almond. I got it.
Buddha. I like Buddha, right?
All right, thank you, everybody.
Did you need me to stay for the Dr. Chan?
So in new business, you
Oh,
have
we
the first
could-
read of the appointing the school physician. Would you like to move to that?
Yeah, we can take it out of order.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you, guys.
Yes, Ms. Barzak, we would.
Stay for 1 minute.
All right.
We would like you to stay for that, but we'll do it now.
Okay.
We'd be happy to take it out of order.
Thank you.
So now in new business, the annual appointment of the school physician. 12A, item 12A, for those of you following at home. And there's a link, so that must be down here.
So Dr. Chan couldn't be here tonight. He's on sabbatical. His practice, when you're there 10 years, you're allowed to take a 1-month sabbatical. So he's off this month.
Okay.
And that's why he couldn't be here.
All right. I mean, it's a first read. I'm looking for it.
Yeah, it's on the screen, dude.
Oh, all right. Thank you.
Ms. Lathrop or Ms. Barzak, why, and for all the public watching at home, why do we have a doctor service school physician / consultant? What does that allow us to do?
So I think it's required.
Yeah,
In your
but-
policy. So he writes all of our orders. So all of our standing orders that we're allowed to give the Tylenol, the acetaminophen, like all of the standing orders. He also writes protocols, and he's available for us for any consultation. I have a cell phone number. We can email him. He comes to our professional developments days and goes over a topic of what's going on and what's current. He's a member of the American Academy of Pediatrics, and he attends the school physician meetings that occur as well. He's been our school physician since I've been here, so at least 15 to 18 years. He's also the school physician in Andover. So we often meet together as groups. This is what we paid him last year.
Which was the first raise he got in a very
First
long time.
raise. He was $6,400 for 15 years.
Is he in practice locally?
Yes, so he's Andover Pediatrics.
Oh, okay.
So he knows a lot of our students. When we've had complicated cases, he's been very happy to work with us, with families. He calls other physicians for us. He's come to IEP meetings. I've really enjoyed
He's a
working with him.
wonderful person. I worked
Yes.
with him closely in Andover. He's a great physician. He was always willing to talk to principals there, so I'd assume the same thing here, and school nurses, and just does a great job.
All right.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Could I ask?
Sure.
Why can we not trust the superintendent to make this decision? Is there some provision of state law that says the school committee has to appoint this person? I mean, it obviously sounds like a good idea and a good choice, but
I believe
it doesn't really seem like we need to be involved in this.
It's a good question, and
Thank you.
I'm not sure I know the answer, but I suspect it's a requirement that we appoint.
I don't know the answer to that, but I think that would be great if we didn't.
Yeah.
I don't know the answer. We could check the policy book. I know that in the past district I worked in, the same thing happened where where it was appointed. I think perhaps it's because you're adding $9,000 to the general budget might be one of the reasons why.
I think you have to appoint them, is how I read it.
It's an
But I
appointment.
wasn't sure that you needed to come back every year, but maybe you do.
Well, I'll take a note to look
I'm new
into
here,
that.
I don't know.
There's a state law that says an assistant superintendent for instruction position has to be approved by the school committee. That I get, but school physician doesn't make sense.
It is law. The school committee has to advise and consent to 4 different positions, and one of them is physicians, nurses, and attendance officers. I just did my chart the course this weekend, so it's in my slides. So, because it's law.
Oh.
There you go.
That's the answer.
There you go.
I
My
will be
slides
happy
paid off.
I mean, we'll do it next time, but we'll vote on it. But I would be very happy to support the reappointment of Dr. Chan and his continued work with us.
I think
So.
it's, yeah.
And I asked the question because we have some new members that might not know the important function that he plays.
Are there any other questions for Ms. Bartek? All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so that was a wonderful presentation. Moving on, I'm going to give you a little budget update. You have other materials in your packet, but this is a straightforward look at where we are. So what this shows you is our status report by program as of today. Is today the 23rd? May 23rd. So what it's broken down is expenses and then salaries, and you can see what was our revised budget, what's our year-to-date expended, anything that we've encumbered. So the numbers are there for you. You'll see that we are in salaries. Things that are in the quotations are areas of a deficit. So we're running a deficit of $2,440,554.59. And then moving down from there, you'll see things that we have not paid yet. So we have POs that have not been approved, so therefore we haven't paid them yet. We have some athletic and custodial overtime that we haven't paid yet. And then we're estimating that extra hours, which are the reports that we see, each week that come from the schoolhouses. We're estimating about $200,000 between now and the end of the school year. I actually think that will be a little bit lower than that. And I want to help people understand that we have said that extra hours are one of the reasons that we have been in a deficit. And it is. But those reports encompass other things than just extra hours. So those reports have the noon attendance salaries in it. Those reports, and those are positions that these are people that support us in the cafeteria. Those are positions that are part of what we do in school. So it's not that we had extras. The extra report, that report has our substitutes in it. That report has any long-term.
Okay, so it's a whole bucket.
Correct. It's a slight misleading that we overspent on extra hours, all that. We have extra hours also included in that, and we do need to tighten the belt in that area, and we have been doing that. But I just wanted to, for all of you and for the public, know that we hadn't gone that much over in extra hours. And so then so that brings us to $3,225,801.01. Things we're waiting for to add in is the relief funds, the circuit breaker money, the town 10%, the Amazon 300,000, ARPA funds, and then some journal entries, and then we have some money from the 240 grant. So when that is all said and done, that's what we're waiting to bring in is $2,664,902.56, which does show us in the still of a shortfall of $360,898.45. But again, I think the $200,000 is a high estimate. We're working really closely with our town manager, with Len Savage, and we feel confident that we're going to be able to come to zero.
Does that include the $750 from the middle school salaries and the? No, that's for next year.
That's for next year.
Never mind. Withdraw.
So is the 300 so closing that? I know you said you and working with the town.
We
manager
feel
closely.
we feel that we're going to be able to close that.
Is that because you think that will reduce spending in the schools, or because the town will have additional?
No, I think because I think that the extra hour estimate will come in lower. We might have some more journal entries that we're going to put in. We're continuing to look, so I think we'll have some more revenue that we bring in, so that we'll be able to close that.
So I have a question which is in no way critical of you, Pam, but what appears to be the case is that we have already spent or encumbered more money than was in the appropriation. I mean, you weren't running this, it's not your fault. It just seems, in terms of figuring out what needs to change, how does it happen? Well, it's unfair to ask you this question. But
I mean, I guess that's why we're here. I mean, we know we have overspent what we had appropriated, and that's why we're here.
No, but I guess my point is this, that common sense and our policies suggest that when the administration ran out of money in an account, it says in the policies that they then come to the school committee and ask for transfers. And what they did is they just spent it anyway, which I think it has to stop.
Well, I think that's what you're doing. I think that is the plan. That's why you're having a review, so that you can look at those policies and so that we'll have recommendations for why they'll stop. I don't mean to cut you off, but I'm not saying it as a criticism. I'm not taking it as a criticism. I'm saying that the question is very difficult to answer because we are not hiding the fact that there was an error, that we didn't have the revenue or the money to be able to support it. I'm saying that it's hard to I guess I'm saying we already know this, right? And this is why we're working very hard to close this gap, and that you already have things in place that you're working on to hope it never happens again, which I guess is what your question is. And I think it's important that we let this review or to play out so that we can hear what those recommendations are to be able to move forward. There are some things in place that we're already doing. We have brought somebody in, a financial consultant that is working with us. There are some ways that we'll be running the reports a little different. We are working with the town already so that we will bring things to the school committee, obviously quarterly, so that we're checking in on these things. So school committee will, as you know, part of your role is asking questions about the budget throughout the process. And I'm not meaning to be defensive, but I guess my point is that I know we already know there's a problem and we're working towards fixing it. So it's hard for me to be honest, I'm just being honest, everybody, it's hard for me to answer these questions when they're the same questions every week and they're not going to change.
So I guess I shouldn't have said it as a question. I should say it as an observation that to me, when whoever's running the budget feels there's not enough money, they can't just spend it.
I think we all agree that.
Well,
All right, so I have a specific question, though, about the numbers here.
Sure.
So the bottom line here, the minus 368.98.
Yep.
Does that line up with the last major presentation we had a few weeks ago? Remember that it would be hard for me to find it now, but I guess what I want to make sure is this is not a new.
It's not a new number.
No.
What I think the last presentation may not have put in the extra hours estimate, and we put that in because we want to. The hard thing is why you're saying why do we keep spending money, because the children are still here. Right. And we still have to do it. I guess I gave this, and this is not a very good analogy, but I'm going to give it anyways. A pothole is a pothole. And it's in the ground, and it stays in the ground, and it will maybe move and get a little bit bigger, but you can kind of drive around the pothole and deal with the pothole a little bit. We have children that are here. We have in front of us every day, and we have things that we have committed to for these children. And we are working very hard not to overspend, but there are some things that we have in place, and we have to provide for them because we're here, and we have to honor the commitments that we've made. And we're going to work very hard to make sure that this doesn't happen again.
I guess what I'm trying to say is that the policies strike me as being rather well written. And they say things change. It's okay for management to come to the committee and say we need more in this account. What's not okay is to not do that. It's not that you shouldn't ask or that there shouldn't ever be transfers. It's that if it's not there, it's not there. We wound up spending, it looks like we've already committed $1 million more than was appropriated.
And nobody disagrees, I don't disagree with you. But to your question,
I'm asking
your question is that was, extra hours was not in it, so it looked a little bit lower, probably the last presentation.
It's like 100 probably.
Correct.
So that's the difference.
That is the difference.
Okay.
Just
so I
but
understood
again,
that.
we
you.
feel
Yeah.
with working with the town manager and working with Lynn Savage, we feel as though we're going to be able to handle this 360 that's still in the red.
Okay.
Thank you for including the 200 grand now.
Yeah, no, I appreciate
That
that. But I
helps.
sorry, Joe, just to make sure I'm understanding though. So you're in your communications with town manager, she is still confident she can make that a zero. Working with you.
Working with us,
together.
and we still have to tighten the belt. There is still
Okay.
work we're doing, and
No,
we do it every single day. I mean, I met with a principal the other day, and it seems silly, but there was about $70 that was coming in on extra hours, which was truly extra hours every week. And I said to him, I understand why you're doing this, but you can't because every dollar counts.
Okay. All right. So I think you already answered my question. It was basically
Yep.
you're still in communication with Melissa. You're still working
We
on
meet
all this
weekly.
together.
We meet weekly.
Okay.
Tracy and Lynn talk daily.
And then the person that you brought in for help.
Yep, her name is Janet Wright. She's a financial consultant. I have worked with Janet before. She'll be working with us probably about 3 days a week, roughly around 10 hours. And I'll be honest, a lot of the work that Janet is doing with us is setting us up for FY25. I said I've already looked in the couch cushions this year.
Yeah.
But she's really setting us up for FY25, trying to make sure the things that you're talking about, helping us get the financials in set, helping us get what our quarterly reports are going to look like, and a checks and balance system so that we project out sooner, and so that we can see when a line item is becoming in the deficit and we have a problem that we have to come sooner, and so that we have the correct amount of money.
Okay.
And we are, one of the things that we will bring back to you is the bottom line is not going to change for FY25, but there may be some movement in some of the, even from the revised budget that you've already seen, just based on as the year has grown, we know we have to change a few things.
Ms. Lathrop, thank you for doing that.
You're welcome.
Continue work, and I think it is important that we continue to look at although it's one big kerfuffle, it is two distinct things that we should think about. One is how do we get to June 30th here, and thank you for that everyday effort to do that.
Everybody is working very, very hard. I thank the
yes.
administrators, I thank the teachers, I thank the teaching assistants, I thank everybody in this community, the town manager. People are working very hard together.
And at the same time, we also want to be thinking about the future, and I appreciate that we're doing that, and I think that's something that we need to also, in collaboration, we'll start to tackle this summer as we go forward into managing the next year's budget. And it is although one big thing, it is we have to be doing both at the same time. So thank you for continuing to focus on this and making this 360 become 0. Or this negative 360 rise to 0. Is that the right math way?
Yes. Included.
We want to make this 360.
Yeah. You want to raise the level. Yeah.
I do think included in your packet as well is a message from Mike Grant, who is our technology director, and he has outlined some of the things that he has been doing for cost savings. This is moving forward, but just to let you know, some of the things we're talking about is we've eliminated the fax line because Google's HIPAA appliant. We've looked at any landlines that are not being used and took whoopsies. We've removed them. We have a program that we can supplement in a different way that we won't need, keyboarding without tears. And then we are going to look at what we're doing with our Chromebooks. We've had a one-to-one policy since COVID that has been challenging to maintain. There's been a lot of replacement in that way. So we will be moving towards back to a cart system in the elementary school. And I think that some people have said that maybe our kids have been on the Chromebooks a little too much. There still will be enough for every, the class will have a class set, but we're moving to 1 cart of Chromebooks for every 2 classrooms. In 6th grade, we're going to have approximately 1 cart for every 2 classrooms, but we're also going to allow students to bring their own device that we will let them on our Wi-Fi. More information will be coming out about that. And then in 9 through 12, we're going to have approximately 10 carts of Chromebooks that will be available throughout the year. They'll be used for MCAS testing. And then we're also going to really work closely with the high school to have a BYOD, or bring your own device. And again, Wi-Fi will be available. But students will be responsible for repairing and maintaining their own personal devices, and we've spent a lot in that.
I think that's smart. They have them anyway, most of them.
Yep.
So I won't have to make sure my daughter's Chromebook is charged before she goes to school anymore.
Correct. Next year.
That's happy.
Yep.
And I see the Chromebooks are going to be collected before the end of this school year.
Correct.
If we collect all those, we will have enough to maintain those carts. Are some of those going to be surplus and sold for parts?
No, so once we collect them.
Can some of those be sold for parts?
No, I mean, some are going to have to be it's time for them to go to to be decommissioned. That's a good way of saying it. But those will be used, they'll be cleaned up, wiped off, be put back into the cart system. And then we'll also have some extras. And then obviously, as we're going to the BYOD, if there are students who cannot do that and they need something, we'll use the same way that we have to be able to provide for students. The same way we do for field trips, we'll be able to provide for students with some of the extras we have.
So students who benefit from some of the assistive technology
Correct.
will continue to have
Oh,
access to
absolutely, 100%.
which I know is going to be true, but I want to say
I know
out
some
loud for all
teachers
those
at this
people.
time assign work at home on the Chromebook, such as ST math work or Lexia work. So will students still be assigned those assignments? Or
it is something we're going to have to look at, and if you can still do ST Math from your own computers if you have them at home, but if it's being assigned, we won't have a one-to-one to be able to send it home with all students. So that is something that we will have to think about. I mean, we can still do it within the classroom setting too.
Okay, and if it turns out that they're still having to do things at home for students that maybe cannot afford their own device,
We could send them home, yes.
Okay, thank you.
It'll be like a loaner program or whatever.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay.
So is, I want to go out of order for Steve's purposes, but let's finish this first.
Just real quick, just a couple of.
Can I ask one
Yes,
more
I'm sorry.
question about Chromebooks? I'm sorry. Do we have enough carts?
Yes.
So we don't have to buy any of those?
We have a lot of carts.
Perfect. Thank you.
All right.
Just real quickly, there's a couple of things. Did she link in the news?
No.
Oh, is that a separate thing that she sent me? I haven't. Is that this?
Yeah, just a couple. Yep. I'm gonna go up to the. Can you go to the top? Is that the top? Okay. Okay. Maybe it is. Oh, you're right. It is. Okay. So at the high school, we had. They had their honor scholars. There's Mr. Jackson with his students. Just keep going. The next slide. Our North Andover High School marching band. They have an upcoming event. They're going to be participating in the Memorial Day Parade. Atkinson School had their end of the year fest. Everybody looks happy, a little bit of slime, some balloons. Our Sargent School did a wonderful thing. They donated 2,000 pounds of donated goods. It's okay. And then Merrimack Valley Superintendent's Association had a Scarlet Luncheon, so all of the students in surrounding towns, the top 2 students of our school, they were treated to a nice luncheon, and Mr. Jackson said something nice about them, and their parents were invited, and it was lovely to be able to sit with them, and it was just so wonderful to sit there and listen about these amazing students across Merrimack Valley and beyond, and the things that they're doing. It was just a real treat of the day. And coming up is a bike rodeo, and that's June 8th. It's going to be held at the Atkinson School. It's usually in conjunction with the fire and police department, as well as AAA. It's a wonderful time. Kids learn about bike safety. If kids need bikes, they'll have, if they need helmets, they'll have some bike helmets that they're able to give. But kids can get their bikes inspected, talk about helmet. They do cute little courses for them. This is a real easily to get around town. You see a lot of kids on bikes, and it's nice that they'll check them all out.
What if you have bikes that you no longer need? Do they
want
bikes?
I do think they take donations. I can sort of look into that a little bit, but I know they're always looking to that
I have a couple
for certain things that they can clean up a little bit.
Sorry, Ms. Lathrop, was the first picture that you showed, was that from the annual dinner that's held over at I think it's in Beverly usually, or at the North Shore somewhere? It's
The Honor Scholars?
Yes. Is that the
I
one?
think so.
Yes. Okay. That's a great event. Yeah.
If I could add one.
Top 5. Yeah.
One more event. Actually, last weekend, the Thompson second graders held a yard sale organized by Mrs. Clark, Mrs. Burke, and Mrs. McNeil. And a lot of the families came with their items, sold them, and all the proceeds were donated to Steps for Savannah, and they raised over $500.
That's amazing.
Oh,
I did
nice.
see that. Yes. Thank you for bringing that up.
So that was that's in the news?
That's in the news.
And
then just a reminder, Senior Week, I think Ben talked about it, it's coming up. You have something in your packet that tells you all the wonderful activities that they're doing for Senior Week. And many of you mentioned the SOS party after graduation, which is sort of an all-night party where the kids come, and it's really fun. They do amazing things. They have a Facebook page. They are looking for volunteers, so anybody here or in the community that would like to volunteer, you do not have to have a student in the high school. Actually, it might be preferred if you don't have a student in the high school.
The students prefer it that way.
That is correct. They're still looking for volunteers.
I'm serving breakfast at 4:30.
Yeah.
I'm doing sign in there, looking for a lot of volunteers. I've done it before for anyone who is looking for that they look for during the day on Friday, over Friday night, and Saturday.
And
Saturday.
the overnight 1 to 5.
Yeah,
And then
there's
they
a
clean
lot
up.
of different options.
They also always need help with the cleanup in the morning. People that come over at 6 o'clock and.
Even donations, all kinds of things.
Do you happen to know? I'll sign up, but I'm not an Instagram person, so is it Facebook?
It's on Facebook.
All right.
It's SOS.
Okay.
I would pull
All
it
right,
up
I'll
here.
find it. Yeah, or if you send it, that'd be great.
Yeah.
Thank you. I've done it many times. It's awesome. It's fun. It's a fun
Called
time.
SOS North Andover High School on Facebook. Just go there.
Okay. All right. So that's the superintendent's report.
That's it.
Thank
I'm
you. If the committee would indulge, I think it would be nice if we skipped ahead and go out of order to talk about the athletic fees, so kind of related to the topic. Is everybody okay with that? All right, Mr. Nugent, if you want to come up. Thank you.
Mr. Nugent, our athletic director, is here to talk a little bit about athletic fees and sort of where that money will go, and it's a perfect transition after hearing from the nurses tonight.
Yeah, and for the record, I did not pay Jess to say any of those comments. So guys, my previous life was as the guidance director at the high school for 20 years, and I always said to the girls, if you come to me with a problem, try to come to me with a solution as well. Don't just throw it out against the wall. And so I come before you, similar to many other things you're dealing with right now, and my sympathies. We have a problem. We're not bringing in enough money to keep up with what the athletic budget needs to be. So the athletic budget is funded by the operating budget and by a revolving account. Operating budget has increased 28 to 30% over the last 12 years. The revolving account, the revolving money that we bring in is all driven by user fees. So we'll talk about that in a second. Gate receipts, fundraisers, all things that we have to generate on the fly. And in a nutshell, those user fees, which is the largest portion of that revolving account that we get to use, has not gone up in 12 years. So it was $300 for your first sport, $150 for your second sport, $75 for your third sport. Now keep in mind, any student who qualifies for free lunch is also free, so no fees for sports. Any international student who's come over through a program, we don't charge them. Any student who's reduced lunch, we would cut the fee in half. I will tell you that Pat Gagne and I chase, and in fact, we had 520 spring athletes. I'm still chasing 2 athletes right now. And every dollar counts, as Pam mentioned earlier. So it is exhausting. I would love to come before you someday requesting that we put all of the budget, all of the athletic budget in the operating budget. That's going to take $400,000. So I just want to give you a heads up. That would be my first recommendation, request, beg. However, I'm going to come to you with a different solution. And right now, we're not matching with the increases in the last 12 years of transportation, officials' fees. All of our facilities are 20 years old, and they're starting. They look beautiful right now. We've got an amazing staff that's keeping them together, but they're all falling apart. We're getting a lot of help from sources like Booster Club and NAAA and other places that are really making some great donations. I like to think that I want to look myself in the mirror and did everything I could to make sure, the place I grew up, the place I live, I'm raising my family, the place I'm going to be buried in, that I'm doing everything in my power to make sure that we have an athletic program that is the envy of everybody around us. And we are on the teetering point. We're at a point where we need help. And it's the bad time to ask you for more money. So I'm just asking you for permission to raise the fees, which absolutely stinks, I know, for the people I live next to and the athletes I coach and the athletes I root on from the sidelines. But it's the only way I know right now where I can face the music next year and be able to keep up with where we're at. So I have plenty of information to share if you have questions, but that's kind of
where you're at. Yeah.
Where I'm at.
Yeah, I can speak personally as a volunteer coach. I can speak personally to the transportation problem, and we're having coaches drive when they can, right? Vans full of the players to the games.
Because transportation is not available, or because transportation is too expensive?
It's usually because it's not available, right?
It's a double-edged sword. So we book out all of our transportations probably 2 weeks before the season starts. So if the season starts in March, probably early March or late February, we're booking out every charter that we would request. The hard part is, like even today, every day at 9 o'clock in the morning, we'll get a call from NRT, and they can't get us where we're supposed to go. The however is they can pick us up, and that costs just as much as they do on the round trip, just for them to leave the yard and come back. So we're not saving any money, but we have a new dilemma. So I won't get into that. Dave kind of brought up another dilemma.
Well, but the point is, it's like we're asking people, a lot of people already doing a lot of extra stuff because of the transportation is just a big problem.
It is.
Period.
But that's not. Oh, sorry. I'm not going to say anything else.
So the last time the fees were raised was 12 years ago.
Yep.
Are the new suggested fees, are these in line or comparing to other districts and schools?
So yes and no. Great question. I'll tell you, there was 11 schools in the MVC. 5 don't charge fees. 4 of them are city schools, and 1 of them's a private school. The other 6 do. The difference, I can't really qualify that with a great answer because all of them are supported differently. They all have bigger budgets, a lot more support coming from their operating budget. What I'd like to do is just, if you make apples to apples, and it's in the packet, I think, I took, what is $300 in 2012 worth today? And it's $408. I think if you do that, I did the math today, it's like $408. So all I was trying to do is match the cost of living increase if we had, not trying to gouge anybody, I'm just trying to match what it was when we first said these fees were okay.
I don't think that other piece is in the packet, but
Okay.
Steve did send it to us.
Okay.
We can,
I can
have
later.
Michelle share it with you.
How much do we get? How much is the athletic budget that's in the operating budget?
In the operating budget, roughly $500,000.
So we are currently funding just over half of what the athletics program actually costs.
Correct.
How much are we getting from boosters and NAAA?
they're contributing things, not monetary. So, for instance,
What types of things are they contributing that we, not the bonus things that they're contributing, but the necessary things that they are contributing?
Not a lot. I mean, I think here's the hard part. I can't ask them to chip in for the transportation costs,
Mhm.
or to buy uniforms,
Right.
or to take care of the officials' fees. Those are
Right.
the three biggies. You know, the things they're doing is like, and this is my point, is like, I want us all to be proud of it. So I'm not asking for them to buy us a Porsche. I'm just asking them to make sure the lights work on the Honda that we're driving right now. I'm asking them, you know what I'm saying?
So what are those?
Yeah.
But no, what are the things?
Oh, so they added, you know, our scoreboards in our gym were, our gym, I have no idea who the designer was, and hopefully they're not in this room, but the gym had scoreboards that you can't read from a certain point. And the NAAA added scoreboards and a scorer's table. Immediate reaction from everybody, not just in our place, but other people who had played there for years. They fixed the sound system in the gym and the Walsh Stadium, something that we listen to also. I know we hire somebody for graduation, but every youth group who uses the gym, every youth group who uses the stadium gets to use that sound system. You know, I can go on and on, but I think there's a lot of things that are like, they're borderline nice to have, need to have, but I can't really ask anybody for those need to haves.
What are the things, the athletic facilities that need updating?
So,
and what do they need?
I'll give you a couple of quick. So the
You
coach
can give me. I don't mind hearing all of them.
Oh, that's fine. So right now our gym is 20 years old. Right now the hoops don't come down and sit the way they're supposed to sit. You know, the good news is they can go up and down. So we put them up for different things, maybe gym activities, things like that. But for them to go down to sit properly for a safety standpoint, they're not sitting there. We almost had to cancel a varsity basketball game this year with 1,000 people in the gym because the hoop wasn't sit. We had to go up and manually fix it. So it was about $7,000, like $6,770 is the quote, just to evaluate that. There are 7 curtains in the gym. Only 4 of them are working right now. 2 do not work. One of them, I went up on a lift and was 40 feet high, tying it so that it would get out of the way of the camera so the camera could still film the games that the coaches like to use to break down film. So that curtain alone, the middle curtain that divides classrooms, you think of it as a classroom divider. You know, so we've got gym teachers in there every day who have not been able to divide the gym, and that curtain alone is about $30,000. Got a quote just the other day for our turf. Now our turf, we don't groom it. We don't have a facilities person. We should be grooming it at least once a month. They say every 2 weeks, but at least once a month is what I've been told, just to move the bristles up and adding so many bags of rubber each day. We haven't done that in 7 years.
We've neither groomed nor added rubber.
Grooming, we'll put that in parentheses because we do have one custodian in the district who does know how to drive the gator with the apparatus behind it. He does a really good job, but it's kind of almost too much too little. Too little too late. Thank you, Dave. It's late. So to get it professionally groomed so that the bristles hold up, and then we're adding 10 bags of rubber, the quote is $28,000. For an additional $3,000, there's a divot about 10 to 12 inches deep over by the McDonald's part of the turf where there's a drainage issue. We have no idea what's going on underneath it, but it's about $3,500 to open it up and take a look. What else did I bring tonight? Has that. Oh, and then, so this is one of the things Ms. Lathrop talked about a little bit earlier was so we talk about, all right, we're at a budget crisis right now. The problem is from a liability standpoint, we're mandated to groom the home field, chalk the lines and groom the home field, at least for the varsity and JV, and we try to do all 3 levels, we treat them equally. But to do that over a 2-week period, it cost about $9,000. We were out of money in that account a week or 2 ago, but we still had games for the next 2 weeks. We couldn't not do it. So we spent an additional $9,000 that I've got to find a way to pay for right now to take care of those fields, to make sure that they're ready. So just to groom them, different things. These things were not included in my budget. So none of the things I've talked about have been included. Uniforms are not included in our budget. There's no line item in our operating budget or revolving account that goes towards uniforms.
Where do we get uniforms from then?
So, listen, I've been trying to hustle. We've done raffles for Parker jackets, and we're doing one for a cooler right now with the Music Association. We have done apparel sales. We sold mattresses out of the gym. We're doing everything we can to bring in some money so that we can possibly pay for some of these things. But right now, uniforms, I don't want the Booster Club to go out and purchase uniforms. That would be great, but it's not a precedent that I want to set. It's not something, it's most schools are trying to get away from that. So for me, we have to look at, you know, trying to get everybody on a 4, maybe 5 max year program where every 4 to 5 years they're getting new uniforms just because of the wear and tear. Those uniforms get passed down to the JV. So a uniform's life is probably somewhere between 8 to 12 years, depending on the quality. We just committed to buying football uniforms after July 1. It's a minimum of $25,000 purchase. So we spent, I think, $35,000 last year on uniforms. And that was through different, you know, trying to raise money and bring in things like that. So I'll stop talking.
So the uniforms aren't included in our operating budget, but you've been paying for them from the user fees?
Correct.
I'm just, sorry. And then do we have a uniform purchasing plan that meets all the expectations, requirements, and standards that we would want in terms of best practice for both boys and girls sports, that they're being treated equitably?
Absolutely.
Okay. Okay. I'm going to have lots of other things. It concerns me that we have been for so long reliant on the goodness of others to fund the things that are essential to running an athletics program versus the things that are nice to have in an athletics program. And that bothers me. But it also bothers me to ask people, students and families, to contribute more when I feel like we should be contributing less. And I know that means an extra $400,000 in the operating budget, or probably even more if we can't afford the things that. But I also feel like some of these athletic facility updates, maybe we need to think differently about how those get resolved, and can those be considered one-time purchase capital expenses that we should be applying to the town for this coming August? Would that be a better plan in terms of?
Some are.
Some are.
Steve meets with Steve Foster and with the town, and we worked on.
I know the track is one of those things coming up.
That are coming up, but you know that is a bigger range plan. I mean, I'll be honest, it's not on my radar right now.
No, I know. Obviously not.
But I do think that there's lots of things that we need to talk about in terms of capital improvement. I mean, in talking with the town, I mean, you think about the maintenance person, and that might be able to be a position shared with the town in terms of maintaining the fields. And yeah.
The one thing I do like seeing on the chart is it bothers me that the girls are paying more for hockey than the boys. So thank you for leveling that.
There's a story behind that.
There's probably a story and a reason in terms of ice availability and time.
No, it's what it is it's a co-op. So we're with with 2 other schools. So we're not the host school. Mm-hmm. So it was something that was an opportunity that came up kind of on the fly. That I believe, going back to the historical perspective on it. And we don't have enough. So if it was our team only, it would be, you know, probably it would have been the same as the boys forever. But when I inherited this 3 years ago, it was $400 for the girls and $100 extra for the boys. And my recommendation, we have to throw in a little extra because we spend over $50,000 alone in ice for the boys varsity JV and some of the girls, because we share that.
No. Yeah, ice is expensive.
The girls' team's four different schools together, right?
Three different schools. Us, Haverhill, and Pentucket. That's another reason why another day I'll come before you asking to help me get a rink in town. But we'll do that another day.
Do you still have more, Joe, or can we jump in here?
I'm sorry. You may jump in.
So, Steve, the trainer, right, is to... Okay, so the first question is, do we not have a trainer this year because we couldn't afford it or because we couldn't find one?
So, guys, I know it's late, so I'm going to try to be as quick as possible. I apologize. So the history, I graduated in 1987 from North Andover High School. Back then, Doug Moulton was the trainer here. So for 40 years, he and his operation was the training operation for us. They provided athletic trainers to us. We set aside X amount of dollars in our operating budget that went towards that and we had a great relationship. Unfortunately, Katrina, our trainer who had been with us for 3 years, maybe 4, went back to school, went to PA school. She gave them a heads up. They tried really hard to find a trainer, and I can remember I was moving my girls in over at college in August, and I got the call down in Atlanta, and Doug told me he didn't have anybody, and we were starting football in a couple of days. I will tell you, this has been the biggest learning experience for me. You know, I thought of, transportation was bad. Well, we've used anywhere from 11 to 15 different athletic trainers over the course of the years. This year, I've had EMTs on the sidelines who are great, but they're not taping, they're not doing triage. They're really just determining whether or not we call 911, and they're there to help us. But I don't want to rely on an EMT. Even at the end of the day, it's not going to be financially responsible. The way I look at our athletic trainer is they're an extension of the nursing program. You saw some amazing people here before you. This trainer, typically at a high school, they have a relationship with the students, with the coaches, with the parents, with the athletic director. They are the point person for triage and treatment. They're the people who, the other day I had my trainer, he said, Steve, we get a lightning strike, we have to do a delay. He's down on the field, I'm up in the press box. They have a very important role. So right now we've dedicated $33,000 towards that relationship over the years. Listen, if Doug or if anyone else was able to provide us a trainer, I wouldn't be sitting here before you asking for that to be part. Originally, I had requested that be part of, the budget that was made up not by me. I'm sitting before you saying, all right, that's the more immediate issue. That's going to kind of bury the lead there. We have $33,000 to pay for a trainer that's going to probably cost us anywhere from $55,000 to $70,000. To have somebody on site from 2 o'clock till about 7 o'clock every day, to be responsible for all the things they're going to be responsible for, and then to have the ability to have some flexibility in this account to bring in people like on Wednesday nights during the winter, we usually have home wrestling and home hockey. One of the girls or boys are home. We have to have a trainer at those. We're mandated to have a trainer at those. Because I'm embarrassed to tell you, we had 3 sub-varsity football games this fall. We didn't have a trainer or an EMT yet. It's embarrassing. So for me, I wanted that extra $30,000 to be made up by the public schools, but if we can raise these user fees, I think it's going to bring in close to $50,000 extra, and I'm going to dedicate $30,000 to this, ideally for 1 year. So once we kind of, or whatever it would be, but I just, that is the most pressing need this athletic department has to have.
So these raise in fees is not covering your entire problem that you're sharing with us. This is going to pay for a trainer, and then with a little, what, 20 grand more, that would be, it sounds like a drop in the bucket for what you need to run this program for this.
Yes. And I just can't in good conscience raise the fees anymore. So I wanted to make it align with the cost of living increase. And I just, some people think this might be too big a step, right? And I've got to deal with that. I'll face the music, but I just feel like we need to do this to have that trainer as our =1 hire if this is approved.
I know before you mentioned it was hard to compare because our other MVC teams are all different in how they're funded. But do we have any comparison to schools that do charge fees? Any data?
I mean, I have data, but the hard part is that you got to peel, like
it's not apples to apples.
It's not, and that's the hard part. I mean, I could come before you and do that. I just know that this is the way. Again, you've probably heard this a lot. This is the way we've always done it here.
Yeah.
I can come back and do that. I just here's the issue with me. The timing is kind of key too. We launch fall registration on June 1st every year. That is a week away. Now I can launch it without the fees being there. We don't start collecting fees until student athletes make the team. So we don't collect them. But I kind of want parents to know going into. I meant watching last week when we talked about raising the fees for pre-K. And the communication and the transparency about making sure we're upfront with parents. I kind of want to do that now, ideally.
Okay.
When's our next meeting?
June 6th.
I'm sorry?
June 6th.
June 6th.
Thank you.
Go.
So I know you meant. So I'm just thinking. So raising the fees, you price this out, and you can see the steps, cost of living, and you mentioned that there would be. And it sounds like there is now kind of exceptions made for understanding for people who are on free lunch, students who are free lunch or reduced lunch. In your experience, and I don't know if you can answer this, do you think because raised fees will cause more of a burden for perhaps some families who aren't on those programs but
I'm
are
sure it will.
close. So is there some way, did you plan to even have
Yeah.
an additional exception or an additional hardship
Yeah,
way?
so it's a great question because, again, I'm super sensitive to that. Right now, even though, like, you know, you've got the full pay student athlete, you've got the no pay, the half pay, when we start collecting fees, we do it to the parents. We don't do it through the children. When I said I was chasing student athletes, I was really chasing their parents, not them. And we reach out to them and say, listen, please reach back out to us. If this is a burden, please let us know. And we've done things. Pat Gagney, my assistant, is amazing. She'll take, $6 $50 checks and on her calendar deposit them on the first of the month over the next 6 months, just to make sure that their family can get their student athlete on the field. We encourage them and help them, walk them through applying for the free lunch. So that link is right on the registration. So if we want to make sure that if that's something that they haven't thought of, maybe they're too proud or whatever the case is. So in short, yes is my answer.
All right, thank you.
All right.
So just to review, make sure I understand all the numbers. Right now, the budget in the operating is about $500K. Right now, we're bringing in an extra in user fees about $350, $300.
So I have it right here, guys. So in the fall, we collected $120,000. In the winter, $78,000. And in the spring, we projected, I did this a few weeks ago, $66,000. So I believe that comes out to about $256,000. I don't know if my math is right, Joe, but
266.
266. So,
and these fees will bring it up to about.
I'm going to lowball. I just want to make sure.
Say it was the same amount of users this year.
Yeah, if we base it on the same amount of users, it's probably going to be somewhere between 50 and 60,000.
So we'd be bringing. So instead of 266, it'd be like 320.
Yeah.
Okay.
So maybe a few more people would have hardships.
Right, so maybe 3. But in reality, you probably need more money. And then how much did you say are we getting from Booster and North and NAA are giving things, not monies?
Yeah, so like for instance, how do I go? They've done more of the things that enhance, I think the mission for NAAA specifically has been enhancing the experience of our student athletes, not paying for the bare minimum. I think back in the day, they used to come in and fund certain things, but I don't have that history as the athletic director.
And what about the individual fundraising efforts of all the teams?
So can you be more specific?
How much is coming in through them?
So they're not giving anything to the athletic department. That's also something, guys. It's like the wild, wild west. Like
right. What are those funding?
So that's the thing. And here's the thing. I think by contract, it's not supposed to fund assistant coaches.
You can't.
The however is we're trying to find ways to get more adults with our children because again, listen. I'm the track coach. We have 250 kids in the track team. There are 5 paid coaches. You do the math. It's insane. So we've been able to get help we run the youth program. We run it through the community programs out of this office. That money goes directly towards helping us get a couple of people at very inexpensive rates. But it should be part of the budget. Like that, the boys and girls basketball, boys and girls lacrosse, boys and girls soccer, they all should have a bench coach as part of their softball, baseball, as part of their program. They don't. And it's something, it's another inadequacy that we're just not able to fund right now because we haven't, forget about the fact that the coach is grossly underpaid. The coaches are grossly underpaid, we don't have enough coaches, and they're doing fundraising probably to pay for, to be honest with you, they're paying for their senior banners, they're paying for the banquet, they might be paying for pasta parties, and maybe some equipment. That's it.
Are they paying for coaches?
I don't know that they are.
Are they paying for coaches' gifts?
I don't think that is happening either. Maybe not widespread.
My concern there is that we have a contract in place with the union that dictates the stipends that coaches receive, which we need to address, and
yes, you do.
Will do. It's a violation of the contract that a coach on one team, because of the happenstance of the popularity of a sport or the ability of that team to fundraise, makes more money than a coach of the other team. that goes against the spirit of the rules of a contract. If I am a coach for Team A and Miss Koenig is a coach for Team B, but I make more money because my sport is more popular, or I'm more able to do fundraising, but we are officially supposed to make the same amount of money according to the contract, that's not fair to her.
I don't know that that's happening. I would love specific examples.
I don't know if it's happening either, but that is the danger of the fundraising and paying for certain things out of fundraising. And I want to know unequivocally that we are not using fundraising to pay for coaches in any way, either directly or indirectly through coaches' gifts.
So, like I said before, to my knowledge, that's not happening, right? But I'd love more information. If there's
I'm going
to my knowledge, it's not happening either, because the money comes in and then
I just want to
we
make
have
sure,
to give it. We basically give it back to.
I want to make sure that I'm just saying that can't happen. It bothers me that we would be doing any type of fundraising to, yes, banners, extras are great, to put kids in the spot where they have to fundraise to participate and have the things that they need to participate.
Listen, Joe, I would love to get rid of it tomorrow. I mean, in fact, 2 years ago, I was preparing to come to school. Actually, I did come to school committee with a proposal of hiring, I think it was an extra 17 coaches. It's going to cost $72,000, and it had more money in there for athletic trainer too. And that was my first school committee meeting as the athletic director. And that was what I was trying to do. Because if I can do that, it eliminates the real need for anyone to really think about needing to fundraise. It would allow me a little bit more leverage to control that.
Most of that goes to, like you said, doesn't it go to the posters and the banquets and that kind of stuff?
And honestly, not every team, like the track team doesn't, we've got, boys and girls cross country, boys and girls indoor, boys and girls outdoor. We don't do any fundraising, right? There are a lot of programs that don't do fundraising. Some do. But again, I mean, listen, I'd love to do a deeper dive into that, when the dust settles on this, but I don't want to get distracted from the task.
No, and I think the point I'm trying to make is that we should make sure that our athletic budget reflects the things that we want our athletic program to have, and not have to scrape around in different ways to have it exist that way. So all those extra things makes it very difficult to know we should just provide the things that we need to provide.
Is there an intent to increase the gate receipts this coming year?
So I'm actually going to scale those back. If this user fee goes through, we're just going to charge for certain games. So right now, guys, we're charging for everything. And it was really out of necessity. So if I could make $80 on a night, we were doing it, which is silly. A girls' lacrosse game, there's certain games or certain sports we can't charge for just because of the way the facility is set up, the way our baseball stadium is set up, our softball facility. But anything played in the stadium or in the gym, we typically charge for. But there's a lot of nights where, to staff, I apologize, I have a very bad habit of giving it, that's a long answer.
I want the long answer.
So there you go.
So to staff a game at the stadium, put football aside because it's a totally different animal. Any other game that's played there, soccer, lacrosse, field hockey, whatever it would be, we have to put 3 people on because there's so many, and we pay them $50 for a 2-hour gig. And so, yes, there's certain sports, typically the male sports, that bring in a few more spectators, but even boys soccer sometimes, we're breaking even. Volleyball, boys and girls, breaking even. So we scaled that back. So my hope next year, if this goes through, we're really probably just charging for boys and girls ice hockey, boys and girls basketball, and football. The however is, the parents of those athletes, our athletes, who have already paid their fee, I'd give them a free pass for the season. So they would get the pass. So they're not incurring any more costs out of their pocket because they've already had to step up in what they've had to pay to get their child on the team.
So if my kid plays basketball and I paid my $400, I get to go watch them for free?
Yes.
But if my neighbor's kid is playing basketball and I want to go watch them as a good neighbor,
probably, yeah,
I have to pay.
Yes.
Okay.
And that would be less, because right now they would pay everyone would pay.
Right now, everyone's
you're
paying.
you're
Doesn't matter who you
back,
are.
so-
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate, but
And that's the thing. If I didn't have to do it, guys, I wouldn't. Because you think we have to staff these people. Some people call in sick, or it's a huge. And I've tried to go on all electronic, and some people have resisted, and some people have not. So, anyways, I think I'm getting off topic. I apologize.
You wanted to you communicating June 1st, you said, to
Listen, I know there's a process. I
Yeah.
just wanted to give you an idea, like, this is, we're up against it, and I just wanted to make sure I shared that tonight.
Because we would have a second read and vote on this on June 6th would be our next meeting when we would approve, consider this for approval. So that's kind of,
Sure.
you may have to communicate a second time.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Would that be okay, I would assume?
Listen, I'm kind of over a barrel here, right? I'm coming in asking permission for something. I'm in no position to tell you to vote on this tonight, or that's not acceptable. So for me, obviously, I just wanted to make sure I conveyed a sense of timeliness. We really wanted to make sure that I gave it my best shot tonight to convey that.
All right.
I think it's just overall, so thank you for bringing this, thank you for doing this for our students. Overall, though, and I think, Joe, this is what, or Mr. Hicks, this is what you were going around, I believe, is this feels like a Band-Aid to a larger budget issue for our student athletes.
Yeah.
Right, so as we do that, as we consider this, it's just, what's, and I think we're gonna, could be in several areas, right? Like, this is what we've been talking about, underfunding, like this, we need to not just do this if we decide when we vote, but also make at least a plan to put forward, what's a holistic approach? Maybe not everything, right? But what gets us, moves the needle in a multi-year approach and moves the needle along.
As you think about FY26, I think that, that's sort of decisions to make whether or not you want to know what it would look like to run this district if we were to put everything in the operating budget, right? And that's your ultimate goal. And it might make sense to go through that activity, that process, to say, here's all the things that if we put in the operating budget, this is what it looks like, so that we sort of long-range plan, right? If you want to buy the house, you don't get to buy it the next day, but you're working towards it, right?
Let's do that.
Yeah, could be a 5-10-year plan, whatever
Yeah.
it is, right? But
So-
we
I want
need
to have a long.
I think that's sort of like what you want to start with, like, this is our goal, and like, and how many years is it going to take to get there? And then that's conversations that you all need to have with the town manager in terms of, what that's looking like for the school, and then obviously, bigger conversations, right? And then I think we start to think about, well, what's that phase-in plan? Because, we all want to do it next year, but the reality is it's not going to happen, right? Because for every Steve Nugent that's sitting here, I could have Kristen Ando of Humanities sitting here telling you what she needs, and I can have, the Fine Arts Department telling you what they need, and the music department. Everybody's going to be here, but it probably behooves us to think about, what does it really cost us to run the districts? It's the same reason why it's important that you know about the grants that we're bringing in. So I think you saw tonight, there's lots of grants that come in from the health office, and lots of things that we're doing, that we're able to do because we're doing it from grants. Even if we have all the money in the world, I think we'll still apply for grants. But yeah. You need to have, I think we all need to have that big picture. It's going to take a lot of work, though. That's not a project that can happen between now and June, right?
Clearly.
But it is something that could potentially happen between now and February.
I'll say on the record, again, I think I said it last year, and probably the year before it too, I would very much, and please someone help me remember this come budget time, I very much want to see what it would look like to not have user fees for athletics and what that would mean, just as part of it. And like in grants alone tonight, you're right, Mrs. Lathrop, we're told about 450,000 from the public health and another 140,000 from state, and that's not all of them, that we're bringing in to run our stuff, help do things in our district. That's a lot of money and a lot of things that we really should think about, like, what is our obligations to fund as a town? And this is not to you or to anyone here, this is to the town. What do we think we are responsible in terms of funding as a town for our community, for our schools, and are we willing to do that? And if we are, like, this is what that includes, where we don't have to nickel and dime our parents for athletics. We don't have to talk about paying for preschool programs even more. We don't have to
Talk about busing, transportation costs.
Right? Like, if we really want to have a system that works well for all of our kids, that means we need to pay more as a town. And that We are trying our best to live within our means. We need to change what our means is. That's a different conversation that we need to have and advocate for.
Yeah, and
So,
we have to start.
given Proposition 2.5, the only way to do that is to get an override.
Yes.
Word no one likes to hear, but.
Right,
but it's true, it's
All
true.
we do is present the solution of
Right.
what we think it takes for the schools, and whether a proposal, if it's over multiple years, whatever that is, and
I think also maybe there's work we can start advocating for to no longer have Proposition 2.5, but maybe Proposition 3. Or 3.25.
I went around the whole state debating Barbara.
Maybe it needs to be
whatever.
3.5 now.
All right, I think we need to
Yes.
excuse Mr. Nugent.
Thank you, Steve.
Thank
Guys,
you very
thank you
much.
so much. I
Thank
appreciate
you.
everything you do.
Thank you,
Taking the
Steve.
time and putting
All
it
right.
together. Thank you.
Have a good evening. Thanks for coming, Steve, and thanks for the presentation. All right.
Mr. Chair, I just want to remind you that we did intend to go back into executive session.
I do remember that, and I've not even begun the chair's report, but there are a few.
Can I
What's
make an agenda suggestion?
Sure.
Superintendent, an acting superintendent said a little while ago, that it probably doesn't make sense to start on the finance subcommittee until after we get at least the first report. And therefore, I would suggest we can skip that and put it off, which would mean we'll have to have some meetings in this fiscal year after June 6th. Given the logic of what she said, I think that will sort of ease our problem this evening.
So to remove item I from your report.
Oh. So wait, so you're saying,
I guess what I'm saying is, one of the obvious, if we have a finance subcommittee, one of the obvious things for it to look at is how do we keep it from happening again?
oh, we need the
We
report
just
that
hired a
ordered.
report to
Right.
do that, so why we don't need to push ourselves to make that decision tonight.
All right, well, we can certainly table item I, but I have A through H. Some of them will be fast. Well, by the way, I mean, I assume we're done with the superintendent's report?
All done. Yeah, we've moved on.
Right. Oh,
You
that's right. We
Steve was
moved- I
not part of
forgot.
my report.
Right, Steve was accelerating new business, that's right. Okay, sorry. It is late. Well, let's press on. I mean, unless people really want to.
Well, some of us do get
I know.
early and get kids off to
I
school.
mean, I don't think this is going to take particularly long. A lot of this is quick, so let me try to go through it, okay? First, I think we're going to definitely need additional meetings, as was just pointed out.
Could we have
Well-
Ms. McHugh put out a
Doodle poll?
doodle poll for availability?
We can. I would, let me get just a quick guidance question. Oh, yeah, I know you have you want to bring that up now?
Yes,
That's
because we're
probably
talking
good.
about doodle poll, so I will not be here for the June 6th meeting. Given the known agenda topics that's on here, I would ask for some kind of adjustment so that I can attend that meeting. I'm traveling for work and I cannot attend even remotely during that meeting.
I would
So
be fully supportive of that, since I am scheduled to present to the Holliston School Committee meeting that night as part of my duties
yeah,
as,
so I don't
as an
know.
administrator.
Okay, so as part of that doodle poll, can we look at rescheduling that meeting
That
to a
meeting
different
too.
day
Okay.
that week? Is
Yeah,
that
that-
possible?
The June 6th meeting you
Yeah.
want to reschedule?
Yes.
Well, what's left on the agenda for that meeting? Oh, is it mainly just to reorganize the school?
There'll be other
committee?
things.
There'll be leftover stuff from here, too.
Yes, but
We have a curriculum presentation of sort of your review of some of the highlights of our curriculum that we've done this year, which might be nice to talk about something positive.
Okay, but just, so what, your travel, Kelly?
I'm gone that whole week. but I'm looking to see when I get back. It would be a Friday. I come back Friday. But if we use a doodle poll, I can work it through Michelle and we can figure out,
But-
even if we wanted to do the week before, we can figure it out. I just, unfortunately, on the West Coast, so timing it will be very challenging.
So
for
it'll
me.
probably be the week after.
So perhaps maybe see if she can put out for June 13th.
Yeah.
I mentioned this before, but didn't realize, I had talked to Dave before, but didn't realize the agenda items would be.
That's fine.
Something that I should be
If
participating
not-
in.
Unless somebody has terrible heartburn, I would just suggest we do it the next week. But she'll poll us to make sure everybody can do it. But it doesn't have to be that Thursday, but that would be great if it was.
But we're most likely in agreement that meeting is going to change.
Yes.
Okay.
All right, so there, so, and I'll also ask Michelle to doodle poll other dates over the summer.
Yeah.
Over the subsequent, probably 2 months. Okay, so there's that. So item B is gonna change to whenever that meeting is. Okay. C, Educator Hall of Fame update. You can do that quickly? Joe?
Yeah, so I'll be chairing the Hall of Fame, Educator Hall of Fame process. We have some nominations that we'll work through. The chair is going to officially appoint some people very soon. Can I mention the people that you will be appointing?
Can I appoint them tonight?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, we have to. I've asked Ms. Koenig to reprise her role from last year. Mr. Landry will be the administrator representation, reprising his role, as well as Jane Broderick and Mary Ellen Paradise representing the community, and North Andover Teachers Association. It's virtually the same committee as last year, except I'll be there. We will meet before our next meeting. Well, it was going to be June 6th, but before our next meeting, we'll have our first Educator Hall of Fame meeting, and we will bring forth any potential nominees then for a first vote, and we would, for a read, and then we would need a second vote after. That can either be done at a regularly scheduled meeting or a summer retreat, or
Yeah, I thought we did it at the summer retreat last year.
we might have done a summer retreat. The year before, we did it at a bonus meeting. The Hall of Fame induction is in October, so we want to do it in advance of that. And then if there's people inducted, they give the opening remarks the following August. So this August, convocation remarks or opening remarks will be given by the people who entered the Hall of Fame last October.
And or their descendants.
Do you have the names written there? So I'm just going to read it.
Yeah,
I'm going to appoint them. So that's my appointment. I'll make it right now.
So Mary Ellen.
So Mary Ellen Paradise.
And Jane Broderick.
Jane Broderick for Nat. She's representing NATA.
That was recommended by NATA.
Yep. Joe Hicks and Melissa Koenig from the school committee.
And Greg Landry.
And Greg Landry from administration.
Yep.
Okay, so that officially is appointed.
Thank you.
All right. June 1st, we have a community chat.
I have it on my calendar that I'm going to be there.
All right, Joe will be there.
It's here.
It's here.
First
No,
is
we'll be
a
here.
Saturday, right?
Yep.
Yes. Would anyone else like to?
I can't be there that day.
I'm out of town. I'm helping my niece move into an apartment at Yale Medical.
You know what?
So
As long as you bring me back pizza,
I'll
I'll be
bring you back
happy.
pizza. I apologize.
I can do it. June 1st?
Yeah.
Let me double check. I think
1 p.m. here, because the library is closed.
it's in my calendar too. We're there. All right, Joe and Dave. Okay, D is done. Sure.
Chair, just if we could try to get that into as many of our school newsletters. I don't know if we have another superintendent's report going out before then. Probably not.
I think
June 50, well.
Maybe put it on the website.
We could put it as a, you know how they blast it on the website thing.
That would be great.
What's that called?
Can I go to the PTOs? See if there's anything that, because I know in some of the elementary school there's like flashes every week.
Yeah.
And the principal's notes, things like that, just so.
I think the
there's more
principal's
awareness.
letters typically go out weekly.
They do.
We can get them in
The
there.
principal's letters.
So we can get more parents
In their
knowing
email.
about it.
Okay.
Do you have a blurb about it? Do you have a?
I can write one.
We'll write you
Okay.
one.
Blurb is
I'll
such
write
a
one
such a
for
good
you.
word. Blurb.
We know where you meant.
Well, it's almost as good as smock.
All right, I'll write you a blurb. Yeah, I'll do that. So you'll take care of all the publicity, the PR?
Yeah. Yeah, we'll send it to the
In your spare
principals.
time.
Well, if you have a blurb, I'll just send it to the principals.
Okay. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
All right, that's that. Special Education Advisory Committee update. So we were supposed to have a get-together with the president and vice president of the North Andover CPAC, myself, I think you, Joe, and Marcy, before, to help set the...
And me.
Well, it can't be three of us.
Oh, all right.
But that never took place. It didn't take place.
All right, we can talk about it later.
It can't be three.
There can't be three of
Can't
us
be three.
there. I could yield if you want, if you really want to go to that. Doesn't have to be me. But in any case, that needs to still be scheduled. So that was the whole point. The whole point of that was to help us gain clarity on who should serve, right? The composition of the committee, if I remember correctly. And the what?
Goal and mission.
Goal and mission, yes. All right, so offline I'll speak with you, but one of us will go, and I assume you want to go. But Michelle needs to still schedule that, right? We're still trying to get
We
that
are
scheduled.
trying, there's a couple hold dates on there, but
Yeah.
it's tricky.
Okay. All right, so that's for now done. Just a quick, for all of you, for the benefit of everybody here and the public, so we are commissioned to outside reviews in conjunction with town manager, and we all voted on them, right, on the CLA company that's going to review the financials, and the MRI is the name of the company that is going to do the personnel investigation, personnel review. Both of those are signed. So, and actually, the MRI is beginning work tomorrow.
Great.
And I thought they said that the reasonable chance will be done by the end of June. Am I right?
That's the
Do I
goal.
remember, right.
So I have an interview tomorrow with MRI.
Good.
So that's beginning, and I've signed off on both of them, and I believe that CLA's been signed by.
Mhm.
I'm not sure if all town manager needed to sign it, town council needed to sign it. I'm not sure if that took place or not.
I think it did. I talked to Melissa on Tuesday. I think she was taking care of it then.
But I know it's not waiting on me. Okay, so that's item F.
While we're talking about dates, that suggests one in early July, a meeting date.
Yeah.
It's not probably a very good time to do it, but.
Well, Michelle put out a comprehensive poll.
She'll put out a poll,
Yeah.
and you can all decide.
Okay. Recent contracts.
That's the custodian contract.
Oh, thank you. Okay, those are right here, waiting for me to sign them. So that's all that's going on there. We received a communication from Mr. McGravy that several of his top students are going to be involved in a commercial with the Edward M. Kennedy Foundation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that's just a piece of news. And then I sense the committee's will is to postpone or table item I for now, right? That's the financial subcommittee discussion. Okay. Very quickly, so that's it for the chair's report. Okay, school building committees.
Yes, so I actually have a lot to share tonight. I'll be as quick and as expedient as possible, but we do know that last week at 9:50 in the morning at the middle school, the fire department responded to a 911 call reporting that a vessel in the basement was smoking. On arrival, the firefighters determined that a tank holding lab chemicals had been punctured during removal, causing a leak in a chemical reaction. It was a acid neutralization tank to neutralize chemicals used in science labs. It was being removed, and the acid side mixed with the base side, causing it to smoke and vaporize. It was damaged during removal. 911 was called. The school was evacuated. The call was made at 9:50. I know that my kids were safely at the high school, and believe they were the last bus to arrive or last bus to load by 11:15. So I thank you for that procedure and the schools working quickly and diligently to get buses and get kids to the high school safely. That is quite fast to happen in an hour and a half. So I appreciate that. We had a middle school building committee meeting this past Tuesday where we talked with the project manager about the incident and what happened. I asked lots and lots of questions about the process and what safety precautions were made or taken beforehand. Not enough. What safety precautions are going to be taken in the future? Many more. Because of the incident, the state hazmat bomb squad was called in to test air quality with robots. They tested the air throughout the building. It was fine and contained no traces of any chemicals. We got clearance the next day to open and have access to the building again. Clean Harbor removed all liquid and all the acid and base materials from the site, so they are no longer on site. The actual tank itself still remains and will be removed completely after the end of the school year. And no other work right now is going to continue in that space in the basement. This part of the project is not part of the addition. This is actually part of the renovation, and the reconfiguration and removal of this was necessary for the new HVAC system and boiler system to be going in. We asked lots of questions about why it was happening then, which we didn't like the answers, but we will continue to make sure that the scene is safe for our kids. We stressed the project manager and to the contractor, I did personally, that my kids are upstairs learning and I need to know that they're going to a place that is going to be safe for them to learn, regardless of what construction is happening on the site. So,
question?
Yeah.
Did we receive an assurance that they're not going to do that again?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, there's no more tanks to be removed.
Well, that's good.
A different system will be, the system that's being installed to replace it is different, so that type of tank is better, and they are going to do a better job of making sure that hazardous activities that could be happening in the building are given their proper attention before they commence, and to make sure that they are being done in a way that follows all OSHA standards and protocols. Yes.
Was there any expense to North Andover
No.
for any of this? None of the emergency response, none of the pizza, extra pizza, like what
So the
extra
school
funds
district,
did we have to
so
spend?
the district and the town have tracked all the, there were some funds spent, but
Yep.
they have tracked all the expenses.
Yeah, that's a lot.
And they will be, the contractor and the subcontractor, their insurance will be
We are filing an insurance.
filing insurance claim with
Okay,
them to
so it'll
cover
go through
all
insurance.
expenses,
Okay.
including
Lori Burzlaff is handling that.
But not through,
through
not
theirs.
through North End, no, through
Through
the
theirs.
contractor, okay.
And it will include both the call to 911 and all the service responses, the
Time.
buses, the time, the food, the fee to clean up the space, the pizza. A couple of the rugs were damaged when the materials were being removed. It'll cover those things. Some tiles were damaged. It'll cover those things. So anything associated with the incident and its cleanup will be submitted.
What about, so I heard some of our awesome teachers following the rules, left their car keys behind, couldn't get home. Is it covering their Uber rides? How do they got home? Whatever, like, because I mean, our teachers were amazing.
We've asked for every receipt.
Okay,
So
everything,
I've sent that out
Perfect.
to everybody. Everybody's submitting receipts. Lori's doing a beautiful job managing that.
Yep. So thank you, Lori. In other news, sorry.
Wait, sorry, George. Just
Any more questions on that?
Yeah. So my biggest concern is that they don't engage in hazardous activities when kids are on site. And did you get an assurance of that?
Yeah, so the tank had previously been disconnected and had not been used for several years, and it had been disconnected with the anticipation of removing it. We were the project manager and was unaware that the work was going to be taking place that day. It was not part of the 3-week outlook or a part of the schedule for the week. So that was one of the concerns, that the work was happening without not in accordance with the schedule, so they will do a better job of following the schedule and reporting the schedule. And two, they didn't verify that the tank was in fact empty. So that is a huge concern, and we will ensure that when those hazardous actions take place, that they will do a better job of doing a job safety analysis and making sure that they happen properly.
Okay.
At
an appropriate time.
An appropriate time.
Chief Weir made that very clear as well.
Very clear.
Okay.
Very clear.
All right. Thank you. You have more?
I do. As part of the building committee at 3:30, before we had that discussion, we got to tour the new building. It's a half-constructed building, but it's so beautiful. The science spaces are amazing. The windows are incredible. It's so bright and light up there, even with just drywall. It's absolutely astonishing, and so excited. If you're at the ABECC and you look down at the building, you'll see what the facade is going to look like, because that the veneer has been installed and acid washed, so it's beautiful and clean. They're putting in the lamp bases to have the lights on the new road. The retaining wall, it looks fantastic. The drywall is upstairs, almost done. They'll be starting the drywall downstairs. It's great stuff. So it was very exciting to go in and see that. And right now we're on schedule and in budget.
All right, very quickly on Kittredge, there have been, sorry.
Questions?
Any questions? Okay. Regarding the Kittredge project, they've begun a series of workshops on what would you like the new Kittredge to be like, and I participated, as did Pam in the first one, and there are 2 more scheduled coming up. Also, school visits have begun. There was one yesterday.
There was one yesterday. I wasn't able to go either.
Yeah, so neither of us were able to go, but that's begun, looking at similar other schools that are in similar or have been through a similar
schools that have been built that are comparable to the size of what Kittredge is going to be and so we're going to look at them as models and ask them questions and things like that.
So that's the quick update on Kittredge. Okay, so now we already did 11A.
No, you have to vote.
Oh, we have to vote. We haven't voted.
Mr. Chair, I move that we vote to not participate in school choice for the school year 24-25 as recommended by the administration.
Seconded.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. We had a public hearing on that tonight, earlier. So is there any discussion? Okay, if not, vote. Ed? Alyssa?
Yes.
Kelly?
Yes.
Joe?
Yes.
Chair votes yes, so we will not be participating in school choice. New business, we've already done A, C, so we still have to do B and D. So item B, student activity funds?
Student activity funds, you have a copy of them. The student activity counts must be approved by the school committee each year. The attached list reflects the existing student activity accounts and each account's current status. We've confirmed with the person responsible for each account that shows a 0 balance that these accounts are still needed. So there are some that are 0, but they're asking for those accounts to still maintain. There is one new account. It's number 129, the Walsh Stadium concessions. This is new this year because North Andover High School Athletics is now going to handle their own concession stands at Walsh.
Activities, do they equate to student groups, or is it is it one-for-one, like every student group has a student activity, therefore
Pretty
has an
much,
account,
if they need an account, yep, and there are some schools, I think Franklin School has an account on here.
It's always like, how does the 6th grade have so much money?
I don't know. I was thinking they just
very
went.
enterprising 6th graders, I guess.
We're not voting, are we?
No.
Okay, thank you. It's a lot of money. 600
So the
grand.
Total in all these accounts is.
Well, it depends on what they bring in, but.
And what's the source of these funds? This is from our operating?
No, these are student activity funds, so these are fees that you would collect. So Spirit Club does an activity, they do, they sell the mattresses, it goes in student activity funds.
Okay, so this is fundraising money as well. So this is where the fundraising money goes to, into the account
Or
that it
clubs,
goes to, or
if
club
clubs.
fees,
Mhm,
things
yep.
like that. Okay.
And you'll see some sports on here. You'll see softball, baseball, golf.
Right, that's their the activities that their fundraising that they're doing.
That they're doing. And
Yep, for their banquets, things of that
Yeah.
nature.
So just so I understand the ledger here, so you have beginning balance, receipts, I don't know what the JV means, but.
Well, it's receipt, dispersed, transfer, and ending.
Right, and then year-to-date payables and working balance?
Balance
What's the
is
difference between working balance and ending balance? They look almost, are any of them
No, they're the
different?
same.
They are the same.
Oh, it must be the payables.
Oh, yeah, maybe the table is the only difference.
Oh, okay.
Maybe is that things yet?
Oh,
to
because
be
that's
paid?
something that's still payable but hasn't actually been paid yet. That's what that means. Okay.
It's all good for me.
Okay.
Again, first read.
Yep.
Any questions that you have before the second read next time, feel free to send them to Michelle and we'll get answers for you.
I have a I suppose it's sort of a basic question. It sounds like we're charging parents, but we aren't. Is that right? It's a student activity.
It could be a
fund
club
or
fee. It could be it could be a club fee. It could be a, something that their revenue that they bring in.
So
we can't-
It's
we can't
fundraising.
charge-
It's largely fundraising.
It's not normally your child can participate
No.
only if.
No, it's like if student council holds a bake sale.
Okay.
Correct.
all right.
Or the
Yes.
Drama Guild host does a show and they bring
Yes, they do a
bring
car
tickets.
wash. Yes.
Right, the car wash, or they,
Yeah.
you know, or they'll sell, you know, coupon books or whatever.
I'm all set.
Okay.
Listen, answered my
All
question
right.
beautifully.
All right, so that's the bake sale? Gonna use it, okay. So that's B. We already did C. So now we're on to D, preschool tuition.
So we talked about this, I think, last time. It is something that was put forward for FY25, raising the preschool tuition in order to raise some revenue. So I have for you 2 memos that Dr. Goddard and Mary Lou Connors worked on. So basically just tells you that we haven't raised the tuition rate from 2016 to 2017. And then what it shows for you is the current rates for 2023. And then it shows to you if we were to, we originally proposed increasing $200 for everything. So I did that, we did that out for you to see what it would look like, and then some comparable towns. And then we were feeling uncomfortable, I'll be honest, about it all, but really looking at the AM, PM classes, it seemed like a very large jump for them for $200. Those are the part-time classes. So the next one that you have does a $200 increase for full day and lunch bunch classes, and a $100 increase for AM and the part classes, AM only or PM only.
And this. No, it's just one of them, the AM/PM is a little different.
It's a little bit lower on the other one.
The first page looks the same on both, but the second page has the difference. It's late, it's 10:30.
It's 10:30.
So
we're still be below everybody.
Yeah, of these 4 examples,
Mhm.
Is the intent to ever get us closer to the other comparables? Because we're still way under.
We're still way under.
comparables.
Personally, my intent would be to have universal free preschool.
That's okay. Okay. There you go.
But
Okay. Okay. So the intent, okay, so that's not the intent.
Yep.
So this
Yep,
is
like
right
I said,
now,
Steve
and
wants
then-
free athletics, and I will.
But that's a fantastic aspiration, and
How much would it cost for us to do that?
I don't know the answer to that.
Can we, as part of fiscal year?
Absolutely, we'll look at it, and the state is looking at that.
I mean,
There's lots of things. There was a grant, and we weren't eligible for it. You know, it was one of those that was a community eligible. Dr. Goddard sat on the webinar, and we were really excited to be able to participate. You know, to write the grant for it, and then we found out our district wasn't eligible.
But as part of our fiscal year 26 fund of dreaming, maybe
Yeah,
we can
certainly.
just
You know,
see
we
what the
would-
number is.
Imagine if you had free preschool and you could catch kids earlier. I mean, I guess for me, I really look at early literacy, and that could make a world of difference for our students.
In the long run, would save us a lot of money and other things.
I gotta say though, you know, we in North Andover have a history of being, of not asking for the money we need. And
it's
I
low.
think we just gotta do it.
Yeah.
There's,
Yeah,
in my
and
opinion.
it's challenging. It's hard. I'm very aware of the fact that we're here talking about preschool increases and and student increases, and that can feel challenging for the community. But I think your point is a very good point, that it has been a long time, and it's one of the things we discovered.
So Commonwealth spends $1.5 billion a year on early education. Do we get any of that?
We may get some of that, but some of the newer grants, some of the new grants that have been available, we were not eligible for them.
So I guess they're going to private. They're not going to school districts.
They
is
do
that
go to
right?
school districts, but they excluded some communities based on certain factors, and North Andover was excluded.
Okay.
All right. So,
I'm sorry, one other point.
Sure.
In our foundation budget, we get funding for any special needs student in preschool. And as I recall, because I put it there, we also get funding in the foundation budget for an equal number of students who are not on ed plans.
I don't know about the funding, but that's the process that we.
But that's.
Peer partner, I mean, we have
It
peers.
would be figured into our Chapter 70. So it wouldn't show up as a special grant for that purpose.
If it's no, not if it's figured into Chapter 70.
Although it would be worth knowing whether we have to report. It's possible that we only get it for the number of students that we've got. So
I don't know the answer to that.
I'm just saying, probably worth checking whether we're reporting what we need to report to get whatever increase in foundation budget is possible.
We'll take a look at that. Here's my to-do list.
Okay.
This is first read.
This is just first read, yep.
Is this really the first, okay, this we just talked about.
We just talked about it this
Right.
fall, so this is a first read.
First read.
So
And
what's
it's
the
different than what we.
difference about just talking about it first read?
We didn't officially make it a first
It wasn't an
read.
agenda item.
It was just a concept.
It wasn't new business.
It was
Yeah.
a new
Too
business
bad.
thing. So now it's an official agenda item.
No, I get it.
Next time
I
it's
get it.
votable without suspending the practice. All right.
Might be considered policy though, and therefore appropriate.
Yeah. All right. Anything else under new business anybody needs? Public comment, there's nobody here.
It's not a new business, but I just wanted to tell you about two things that are in your packet, just because you sort of went quickly around dates for summer retreats and additional meetings. I included the MASC workshops that they can do for school committees. They're on-site workshops, so if there's something that you're interested in learning about as school committee members, your roles and responsibilities, collective bargaining, school finance, special education, they're available for workshops if that's something that you're interested in doing for the summertime. And the other is there is a special, I believe it's just a webinar online coming up on June 7th, the role of the chair of school committee. And seeing as that's something that you'll be voting to do soon, you might all want to participate in that webinar on June 7th.
When is it? June 7th?
June 7th. There, it's in your packet.
It's in your packet.
Yeah, I thought I saw it like that. It's buried somewhere here.
Alrighty.
All right. There's no public comments because there's no public here.
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
For the third time today, I move we go back into executive session to conduct contract negotiations with non-union personnel and to not return to public session.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Ed, voting? Ed? You
Yes.
vote. Alyssa?
Yes.
Kelly, yes. Joe?
Yes.
And chair votes yes. We're in an executive session. Adjourn to the other room.
I mean, you can stay here if you want.